Hello, everybody, and welcome to the unofficial WWE podcast, your AEW Double or Nothing review show. My name is Mimi Burris, and today is Monday, May 31st, 2021. Obviously, Double or Nothing was last night, and I had Ashley Mann on here with me to review the entire pay-per-view. We talked for over 2 hours, as we always do, getting off track about this, and that. I asked her a couple fun fantasy booking questions. We obviously went through each match on the card, and then we went through what we think essentially is next for whoever was in that match. So, super awesome, fun conversation. Love talking to her and love having her on this show. Always adds new energy, new life, and we've gotten a lot of awesome feedback from you guys, so I love having her on here as much as humanly possible. So really, really fun, awesome conversation coming up next, guys. Before I get into that, though, I want to quickly thank you guys for choosing this podcast, listening to this podcast specifically, and just the WWE podcast as a whole. You know, we're on Patreon for $1 a month. You get all this stuff ad-free, and if I were you guys, I wouldn't want to listen to 2 hours and 15 minutes any other way than without a single ad interruption. You know what I'm trying to say. All right, but so, yeah, we're on Patreon, 99 cents, guys, or $1. I don't know if it's 90. It's the same thing. It's a penny difference. You get the point. Anyways, so Patreon, all that going on. And then also, guys, yeah, I'm here. It's me. It's been a week or so. I'm back. Obviously, I told you guys before, I said, I had surgery on my other eye. Thank God, we're done and over with that. This recovery process was a little bit more intense than last time for some odd reason, so it took me out a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be. So we didn't have a high and a low for the week. We didn't have last week's, or on Friday, AEW Dynamite review show. But nevertheless, guys, I'm still back. I'm back with a bang. I'm back with the Ashley Mann, and 2 hours plus of just audio, all talking about AEW and the awesome pay-per-view that we got to watch on Sunday night. So thank you guys, as always, for choosing this show. I'll shut up now. We'll play the fun little intro, and then we will get straight into Ashley and my conversation. So talk to you guys next time.
Championship means that much. I can't believe what we're seeing here. DMD.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the AEW Double or Nothing review. I'm here again with Ashley Mann. How you doing, Ashley?
Doing great, as always. How are you? Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, I'm super thrilled to have you, super thrilled to talk about this whole thing. We just obviously were talking beforehand as well, but a bunch of awesome talking points. And I think, you know what we can say in this pay-per-view? There was no explosion that didn't go off, and there was no terrible camera shot of someone being thrown off a steel cage. So
it's a
win-win.
It is.
Success in my book, at least. Well, yeah, I mean, we'll get into it all, but we were just talking before as well. Overall, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, overall, like we were just saying, it was a good show. Like it was definitely. I think we both agree that the fans having the fans back is just a huge difference, and something I'll never not appreciate ever again going forward. It's one of those things where you would never not imagine like not having fans. So like once you don't have it this past year, it's like man, and then having it back, it's just. It really is just so insane to see like just the reactions and how that really does play into like the match itself. So that obviously for me was just the best part of the show overall. Besides little individual moments, but just seeing the fans back was just so refreshing.
Oh, especially at the beginning, first match. My favorite was my favorite. I think it was great. And I mean, I know I forget what it had fives in it. I forget what the exact number of the total full crowd was. Maybe you remember.
I think it was 5,000.
Okay, there we go.
I think.
So, but I mean, it felt like way more people than that. I thought the amount of noise they were making, even some of the stuff that like I was like, especially, and we'll get into it obviously, of course, but like Stadium Stampede I was just like, you know, a long show, like trying to continue to watch it and enjoy it for what it was. But I mean, the crowd seemed into it throughout the entire show. There was a little lull probably in the kind of in between matches, but for the most part, they were pretty loud the entire show. So even the stuff I wasn't into, it seemed to be getting over because the crowd was crazy. So maybe that was just enthusiasm and excitement, but I don't know.
Yeah, and especially with them because I think they probably had been there for at least 5.5, 6 hours because of the pre-show starts at 7:30, and again, I think they probably started opening the doors maybe around 6:30, so they've been there quite some time too, especially by the stadium stampede.
Yeah, and I'm the kind of person too who gets there super early. So,
Me
and it
too.
seemed like on the buy-in, it seemed like the crowd was pretty packed. So, well,
Yeah.
there's a perfect transition to start with the buy-in. Obviously, we were talking about it before we get into the match on the buy-in, which in my opinion was incredible. Hot take, Serena Deeb and Riho was awesome. But the promos they had, I know they put that Road to stuff on YouTube. I actually didn't get a chance to watch it until I was actually watching the buy-in this time. But I mean, they do such an incredible job of even. I feel like I knock WWE and especially NXT a lot. Like, I'll watch their promos and I think to myself, like, yeah, this promo was awesome, but, like, none of that stuff was really that good. Like, live and in person.
Yeah.
So, like, I think about, I don't know, the Sasha Banks Bianca Belair WrestleMania match and the promo they had before that. They erased all of the stuff that they did with Reginald, with whoever, like, throughout the entire thing. So, but the promo was great, like, and before the match, because it didn't include any of the stuff that they did before the actual match. I don't know if I'm making sense, but so
No,
this
totally.
though, I have to say, AEW obviously it has great material. Some of the stuff obviously was with the Omega Cassidy and Pac thing where they I don't know if you heard about that, they had to call an audible and do that whole kind of crappy finish where the champion attacks them and thinks it won't be a triple threat now, like this day old stupid
Yeah.
champion move. But there was obviously we can't really fault them, that was an audible. The promo looked great. They managed to even make that look great. I don't even think they really included what he exactly did. So I loved all the promos before the actual match. I think they do such a good job at these road twos. I know we've talked and sent each other back and forth. I think even the Blood and Guts one. I don't know. Maybe it was John Moxley, but they do such a good job. So
Yeah.
what were your thoughts on all that stuff before we get into the actual match?
No, I'm pretty much spot on there with you. I think their production side doesn't get enough credit in that respect. Yeah, they in some areas filming the show and shooting the show itself. Yeah, there's some cons there, but their production when it comes to the video packages and even I'm a stickler and maybe it's weird, but I love a good entrance video for the wrestlers. That used to be one of my favorite things, like watching it as a kid. And early on, just seeing like what their video package, just seeing it get updated, right? Like when they win championships, just seeing like the new stuff they add to the video. So I'm just like a weird stickler for stuff like that. But so in that respect, I think they do such a great job, especially for being so new of a company. I think they've really grown well in that respect. But yeah, like it's just so well done. And you can tell they just give them freedom to just sit down and talk. And I think that it really shows. And that's why you can just it's so easy to watch and you actually go out of your way, or at least I know I do. I'll speak for myself. I go out of my way to look and watch the countdown show, whereas WWE, I'm like, I'll catch it if I catch it, but I'm not really pressed because it's pretty much just the same stuff we see on Raw and SmackDown. Whereas this, they actually go and film like actual sit down interviews and just like break it down. So kudos to them. It's just like you said, so well done and something that I look forward to going forward. And I hope they do more. I hope they add more in like the weekly shows, and especially since they're adding that additional show going forward. I hope we could see some more of it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I actually, if it makes you feel any better, I'm a weirdo about the entrance videos too. Ever since
Okay,
the SmackDown and Raw games on the Xbox 360, and I think we even had it on the Wii, like SmackDown versus Raw ones, you could pick your person's little entrance video. I remember I always started
I
watching
would watch
people's.
it forever.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I totally get that. I think they do a great job, especially like Britt Baker had a new one. I think this on at Double or Nothing. Maybe it wasn't new, but I just noticed it this time. So I'm with you on that. Well, the actual match we had obviously on the buy-in. I keep wanting to call it the kickoff. The buy-in, the NWA Women's World Championship match. And I don't know about you, but if I wasn't gonna buy this pay-per-view, I probably would have bought it. After seeing this match and of course all the awesome promos. Before we get into it, obviously we'll say Serena Deeb retained. Similar way that she did with Red Velvet, that same smashing the knee against the mat and then putting her in the Serenity Lock for the win. I love how they're normalizing, AEW is normalizing baby faces tapping out. I think that's such
Yes.
an important thing because, just because you're a good guy doesn't mean you can't tap out when something's super painful. So I thought this match was great, but let me throw it over to you first.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think it's just another one of those things that the pandemic actually brought to us, and I don't think we may have received if we hadn't been in this weird situation, and that's just like the influx of stars from different companies, and it's been such like a good time having like Serena Deeb here, and it's just it's amazing because like you see like a match like that, and it's just like you could have put that on the main card, and that would have been just as fine on the main card. And just having it on the buy-in itself, I think that was a pretty good idea and a pretty good placement. Like you said, if I wasn't planning on buying it, I most likely would have after seeing that. So just kudos to them. And Serena Deeb is so good, and she's just another one of those that it's amazing WWE would let slip through their fingers. I believe she was just a trainer when she was there, or at least on this most recent run. But even then, like I don't understand how you just let someone like her go. So it's definitely one of their losses as well. But that was such a good match, and kudos to Rio as well. Like she's so, I think, underappreciated also.
Yeah, it was good to see her back. Oddly enough, I don't know what it is. I think we had a conversation kind of about Marco Stunt and some of the other smaller guys. And,
yeah.
And I kind of feel that way about Riho. There's something, I don't even know if I can say it on this podcast. There's something about the whole vibe of Riho, and I don't think the person, just the presentation of Riho that throws me off a little bit. But
Yeah.
I think that's more totally subjective. I'm a huge Serena Deeb fan. I don't think we've gotten to talk about her. She's kind of slipped through each time we've done a show together. But Serena Deeb, I don't know if you remember the Straight Edge Society.
Oh, of course, yes.
Like,
I'll never forget when she shaved her head. And we're just allowed it to. I was just like, I was in awe. And then it was so refreshing too because they had her stick around and actually be involved in the group. It was just, and it was Luke Gallows, right?
Yes,
yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
Festus.
When he was Festus, yeah. Oh my gosh, what was that 2008? I think.
Yeah, a long time ago. And look where they're at now. Yeah, I know. I always think about
How
that
crazy.
Elimination Chamber match where he was like eliminated R-Truth or something, and they was sitting in the middle of the match, doing the sermon. Yes, that was such a great game. Anyways, we are not talking about Serena Deeb. My point is, like you said, yeah, she was a trainer in the back. It sounds like I think she was happy with that too, but she is just so incredible. You know, I would put her in my top 5, top 10, probably top 5 women's wrestlers in the world right now. She's just one of those people, I think, similar to a Hangman Page or Cody Rhodes, or just like she could have an amazing match with a broomstick. You know, she's not doing flippity dippity amazing. She's no Ray Phoenix. You know what I mean? She doesn't need to be. She's just like a good, and I think she's a good wrestler. And I think she's so good probably for the other women who have less experience. Obviously not Riho. They were saying she's been wrestling for 15 years. She looks 15. I'm gonna look that up actually, but like that's crazy to me. I don't like she.
No, I think she did start super young. I think that's why. Yeah.
Crazy.
I don't know offhand how old she is. I kind of want to look that up now.
I know. I'm looking as we. She's 23 years old. Well, that makes no. So she's been wrestling since she was 8. Did I do that math right?
Wait, 15 years then? I mean, you know,
Get the calculator
they
out.
start training. They start training pretty young in some countries.
That is crazy. Well, it shows clearly she's obviously, you know, I have my own subjective takes on her, but clearly one of the most talented wrestlers. You know, again, it's just such a add to the women's division in AEW. I think they said on commentary that she's officially making North America, you know, the home for wrestling. So it doesn't just mean AEW, but it's going to be great to see her more, of course. And I know I mean, the crowd popped for Rio, so definitely always good to see in a match. And I thought this was, like you said, a great kickoff. Just great submissions back and forth. And again, Rio does such a good job of the struggle, which is such a lost art, I think. It's just such a great job of the struggle, selling an injury, all that stuff. So I think this was like your wrestling fans' wrestling match. Hate that title still. Hate that NWA women's title. I think it looks like you could, like, you know, rip it in half. But whatever.
And it just looks so outdated. At least like the NWA like World's Heavyweight Championship, the men's, like that still looks like prestigious, right? Like even though it's the same exact design, but like it still has a certain look to it and feel to it. Like, but the women's one, it looks fake. It just looks fake. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the men's one. I would be lying if I said I did, but it does. It looks flimsy. It looks like something you'd buy. It looks like the $20 versions of like that you can get on WWE.com. You know what I'm talking about? Like you got, I don't know. We used to have those as kids, like the flimsy ones. Anyways,
yeah.
Again, sidetracks here, but And then the show started, obviously, we kicked it off with, it sounds like what we agree on was the best match of the night, in our opinions, of Hangman Page versus Brian Cage. Obviously, Brian Cage, this is complicated. Hangman Page picked up the win, with the, I was a little iffy about the ending at first, but I think I really like what they did. The distraction by Ricky Starks and Team Taz, what is it? Remind me of his name?
And Hook.
Hook, yes, of course. Yes. Ricky Starks and Hook, trying to come out and help Cage, but obviously Cage wanted to do it himself. They throw the title at him, and he doesn't want to use it. Distraction, and Page is able to hit the buckshot lariat for a 3 count. I thought if there's ever been a time for a distraction finish, this worked, so I was all about it. But what did you think of the match overall and the finish?
Yeah. And no, I really enjoyed the match itself, and I was actually surprised. I think the second match we're about to talk about was maybe my favorite overall, but this one was definitely up there. Like when I saw this, this was the one that really surprised me the most. That I'm not gonna say I didn't have high hopes going into it, but I just didn't really know what to expect from Brian Cage, to be honest with you, because I hadn't really seen much from him. But he is just amazing. And I think the first thing that really stood out to me about him was when he was carrying Darby Allin up the stairs from their match, what was that, a month ago, 2 months ago? That cinematic match that they had. But ever since then, he's just been on a different level. And tonight, or last night rather, was just like another, I think, like a truly breakout moment for him. And Adam Page, man, it was just so reassuring to see everyone still behind him as well, because I think he is going forward as who everyone has pegged to be the one to dethrone Kenny, right? So whenever that may be. And it was so, just like I said, reassuring just seeing that everyone's still behind him and that he's still going to be that guy, or he has the potential to be that guy. So it was cool to see Adam Page being able to do his thing again too, and just drinking the beer and just like cheers in the crowd on the way out. So it was definitely a good match, and I'm curious to see what they end up doing with Brian Cage and Team Taz going forward. If this means Brian's gonna turn into the babyface side, or what may have you going forward. Because at first I thought maybe Starks was gonna be kind of leaning towards the babyface side, but maybe since he got injured, they're putting that on hold for now.
Yeah, I don't think you can be that pretty and be a babyface, Ricky Starks.
Yeah,
it's just like
that's true.
What pretty Peter Avalon, dreams about being. But yeah, no, I thought this was great overall. I think I'm with you. I thought Brian Cage, to me, like, don't get me wrong, I am like a full-on Hangman Page fan, through and through. I'm with you. I think he got the biggest pop of the night. Maybe not. Maybe it was Mox and Eddie, but it
was up there.
It sounded like a full stadium. Maybe I'm over-exaggerating because we haven't seen crowds in so long, but it felt like it to me. And like you said, to go out and cheersing with the fans, that was my favorite moment. I think it was that at the end where that lady's holding out the beer and he cheers him. Like, it's just a nice, like,
I was so happy she did that. Like,
such like a good heartfelt moment.
Such a moment. Yeah.
And and like something they're going to use in video packages, like just such a good moment. And so, but I thought Brian Cage really was the MVP in this match because, one, the booking of this whole thing was brilliant, and of course we could have never kind of seen it coming. I thought with the loss on Dynamite and then having the rematch, like, it wasn't like a match to build a match. It was more like, I guess it exactly was, but it wasn't. It's just like there's a way to do that when it's not so shoved down your throat, which I feel like it does get shoved down our throat all the time. Because this was a totally different match than the last match. This was. The first one was more of a squash match, and I think was a shocker for all of us because we all figured, oh, okay, Hangman Page versus Omega at Double or Nothing, like that's where we're going. Mm-hmm. We were all excited, but like it was predictable, and then they swerved us with this, and I couldn't have been happier to be swerved. But yeah, he comes out and manages to like really, he got boos, like real good boos, and like really play up I think you probably the most solid one-sided boos. Because I think even the Young Bucks got some cheers, and they were showing their signs. No one was cheering for Brian Cage. And I think, when you're up against such a great babyface like Page, it's pretty easy to do that. But I thought he just did such a good job. And then, towards the end of the match, right, when he decides not to take the cheap way out, I think they're going to take a babyface turn with him. So he went from, like, really good heel to really good babyface and put a really awesome match in between. Just like the back and forth. And this was hard-hitting. just again, it's a Hangman Page match, so you really can't complain. But like I said, this is my favorite match of the night. I'll go back and watch this. I think that's how much I loved it. And I think Taz on commentary, like, cannot be understated. He's so good because he's not Don Callis. You know what I mean?
He does such a great job at not being biased, right? Or
Exactly.
he'll make comments, obviously, like supporting his guy, but it's not like so heavy-handed to the, and it's not just completely like just crapping on whoever, like they're fighting. It's just he's so good at what he does, and not to go off on another side note, but like him and Michael Cole, like they were one of my favorite like announcers. Like I as a team, like I just thought they were so entertaining. It was just you could tell that they really they just gelled well together. So I think Taz is super underrated in that field also. But
no, 100%.
I'm right there with you.
I don't know about, and not to go on another side tangent here, but just, JR just kind of seemed off all night. And who could blame him? He's just struggling. He's got his own stuff going on, obviously health wise, and we all love there's nobody in the world who doesn't love JR. But
no.
I think eventually it's going to come time where JR probably kind of has to step down. And so I nominate Taz to take that place. I think one, Tanu Schiavone and Excalibur, I was going to give a shout out to Excalibur later too, but are such a good commentary team too, and managed to be able to do a lot of the play-by-play. And JR's experience in itself can't be understated, but I think Taz would slot in perfectly there. Brian Cage goes off on his own, and eventually Team Taz splits up, and there's a perfect spot for Taz.
Yeah, and I think really quick, later on in the main event, the triple threat, did you hear when JR said that Pac is from Wales?
Yeah.
And Excalibur corrected him, and
yeah.
JR was like, "You could have corrected me. You could have corrected me off of air or something like that." I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But it was just I mean, honestly, and that's nothing, right? Like people get stuff wrong all the time.
Yeah.
But it's just because like everyone like makes such a big deal about it because it's JR, and it's just, yeah, I'm right there with you. And like I think he would be like a really good like producer for them, like backstage, like be the guy in the headset, because I think like with his direction, like you never get rid of him. Like that's never the answer. He's so beneficial in anything related. So I just think he would be a really good producer, if nothing else, and not just to get him off, but just because of his guidance and his knowledge. Like I think he could really build the team, especially with Mark Henry coming in, which I'm sure we'll get to later. But I don't know. I think he could be really beneficial behind the scenes too, which maybe he already is, but I don't know, just maybe more so.
And even in front of the camera, to me, I just think he adds such a presence. Like you said, he's he's not so theatrical about it. He's very, you take him seriously what he talks about, and he makes it feel real. He just makes it like when he talks about, Brian Cage shouldn't have been taking time to do that or whatever. He just makes it, he adds a level of believability and credibility, and it's so important in a company, especially with a lot of young stars. Who make slip-ups and stuff like that. When a commentator can, and I think Corey Graves, is probably the best in WWE out of all of them who do this, but they all stink really in comparison probably. But, when one of the guys messes up in the ring, to be able to take that and make it, like, not seem like a botch, but seem like something that was almost, maybe a botch, but just like, I don't know, just like,
He just plays it off and just goes with it.
And explain why it might have happened in a way that doesn't seem like it was, scripted or whatever. It just is so important, and I think Taz is such an underrated, I want him on commentary, I guess is my point. I'm with you. Michael Cole and him were my favorite commentary team ever. And I don't think it was old enough to even appreciate that. I think it's all the stuff I've gone back and watched, but
yeah.
But so yeah, agreement. This was a great match. I give this an A+. For me, this was my favorite match. Like I said, I know you said you liked the next match more, but if you were going to grade this one, what would you give it?
Oh, I would give it an A-.
Okay, all right, I'll take that. So, obviously, speaking of pops, right, the next match we had was the AEW Tag Team Championship match, Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus the Young Bucks. Oh, the Young Bucks. This was a long match, I thought. Maybe it wasn't. It just felt long. But, when we skip to the ending of a bunch of awesome stuff, and we'll talk about each little thing I'm sure that we love. But towards the end of the match, obviously, just the BTE trigger over and over and over again. Moxley is just like a lunatic. But eventually, I think the third one drops him, and they get the pinfall and retain the titles. A heartbreaker. I think a lot of people really had a feeling that, Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley might have taken this match, but But again, I'll throw it over to you first, Ashley. What do you think?
Yeah, like I said, this ended up being my favorite match. I had a favorite moment that wasn't this, but match wise, this was totally it. And I think what got me honestly was right from the beginning. And I never really liked the song. I'd obviously heard it in the past, but man, having it as Moxley and Kingston's entrance theme, that Wild Thing song, man, that just, and seeing the crowd, it hooked me from the beginning. And I think that's what I think that's why I'm maybe a little biased and why it's my favorite match of the night. But just from the beginning and seeing how pumped and just how happy Mox was, and just seeing him just like interact with the fans and like throw the chair and almost hit like the, it was so funny. Like, I don't know if you caught it, but when they were making their way, he was throwing this chair and he almost hit this guy in the crowd with it. It was just,
Oh, I saw
just
that.
so
Yeah,
genuine,
yeah.
just so real. Like, it's just so, it was just so like fun to see that again. So, and I've always been like a huge John Moxley fan, or Dean Ambrose, whatever. Yeah, and just seeing like, this was, I believe, the first time that Eddie Kingston had been in front of a crowd since being in AEW.
Yeah, they
Because I think
mentioned
when
that.
he joined, yeah, okay, yeah, I thought that's what I heard. Because when he obviously joined, no one was there, and it was just a cool moment. I think that's why I said maybe I was biased going into the match itself, but it's odd because like I told you, I've been fans of the Young Bucks, but I never went out of my way to see them. Like, they were fine, but like they were never like my favorites. But for what they can do, whatever, they're fine. But them as heels, it's just completely different. And Nick, his personality is just, he is so fun to watch, and like seeing how he interacts with the camera and just how cocky he is, and how he dyed his hair like that ridiculous color. Like, it's just, man, I'm just loving it. And I don't know if you saw, like, on their pants, they had like the word pocket, where their pocket on their
No,
pants
I
would
missed
be.
that.
Yeah, and then like at the top it had the word tights, because they're obviously the wrestling tights. It's just like little things like that, for lack of other words. It's just like, man, like, and like some other people saying, like, with the gum chewing and everything, they're just so sassy. And it's fun to see them like fully embrace this side. So it was just cool just to see the two teams just play off each other like that. And I don't know if this means if John Moxley is going away for a while, since Renee is due, I think they said, or someone said maybe within a couple weeks or something. So I don't know if that means he's going away for a while, and if he does, what that means for Eddie going forward. But I hope this is just a loss for now, and if he does end up leaving and coming back, they revisit this, because I think they can get much more out of us. Like, I think they can get like an actual story out of them going forward.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd love to see this again too. It's so funny you said that about Nick. I love watching Matt Jackson. I think
Do
he's
you?
hilarious. Yes, I like, out of the two of them, my eyes go to Matt Jackson. Just the way he, his little shimmy walk in the ring.
He reminds me so much of Shawn Michaels, yo.
Yeah, he
Like,
does.
it's insane.
He's got the vibes for it for sure. And I mean, they're incredible. We could sit on here and talk about the Young Bucks all night, just like we could do about a Kenny Omega. Like, they're just unbelievable wrestlers. And sometimes this stuff gets a little too theatrical for me. But I think, again, like, I think that's a subjective take, because I think, this is getting over clearly as heels. There were people cheering for him, but by the end of the match, I think it was more like cheers of appreciation.
Yeah,
'cause,
for sure.
but I mean, the Eddie chants. I was like, emotional for him. So I can't imagine how he felt. Just like being able to experience that. And, he's not, I don't know a lot of Eddie, but I don't think he's been, at least in AEW, he hasn't been able to feel that. And I feel like AEW fans are a lot like ECW fans, just the
Yeah.
loyalness, loud. Like we said, there are 5,000 something people, right? That sounded like a full stadium to me. So super awesome to hear that. My favorite part, though, in the match was John Moxley goes back with, I don't remember which Jackson it was, but one of them, and he's going through the crowd and just doing the typical, like, I'm carrying you through the crowd and punching you a few times, then we're going to go back over there. But it's just, it's a crowd popper. And he grabs someone's beer or something and, like, drinks it and then smashes it against his head. Like, you could tell John Moxley was, like, in his element. Just so happy. He does this for the fans. It was so good to just see him, like, be happy in his own weird John Moxley way. Like, he's just, he's one of a kind.
It just rubs off on you. Like, it makes you, and I think that's why this was my favorite, right? Because, like, it just made me so happy seeing him so happy, because, like, he's crazy, and, like, it's just, like, and just thinking about his whole journey there, like, just from how he turned down WWE, and, like, he could have, taken, like, millions of dollars and just done whatever, but, like, he took a chance, and, like, he left, and it's just, like, man, it's just so fun to see him be him, and he really, like, it makes a big difference in the match, because, like, it's exciting, right? Like, it's just cool to see.
And the cold spray per usual, and I'm the bet, when he gets super kicked 3 times, then pops right back up at the 1 count. I don't know about you. I sat up. I was like, what? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not a big fan of no selling things, but like that was worth it. You know what I mean? There's certain times where it's worth, like the Undertaker sit up. You know what I mean? Like there are certain times where it's warranted, and I felt like that was just like perfect. Again, this guy's a lunatic. Not to quote something, a past nickname that we won't go towards, but like he's a lunatic. Excuse me. And again, it was awesome just to see Eddie kind of selling the ankle. The whole story of the match was really well done. For me, my only con is it was too long. To me, it lost the energy through certain periods of the match, and then it got me back into it, but then it lost me again, and it got me back into it. I think you could have cut off, at least 3 minutes, at the very least for this match, and I would have enjoyed it much more, but I think the Young Bucks in a long match it almost feels forced, is what it felt like. It felt like, why are you guys still going, I felt like everything could have kind of been condensed a little bit more. There wasn't anything I was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So, but that's, I think, my take. It sounds like you were super into it. The crowd was super into it too, so.
Yeah. I think the only thing I probably honestly would have done without is just not having Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows interfere. It's just, I'm kind of just over them interfering with everything. Like, I don't know, like Don Callis being out there is one thing because at least he's on commentary and, whatever, but I'm just kind of tired of seeing them interfere, just run out and just do the same, what I feel like the same stuff every week. And I get, like, they're coming out to help them, trying to save the titles and everything like that. But I'm just kind of overseeing them just run out and just doing that same thing each week. At least to me, it just feels like it's the same. Like, it's just, like, they just come out there, either they're just running out and just interrupting and doing, whatever, or it's just like a melee and just, like a group of 5 people are coming out. It's just, I don't know, I'm just kind of overseeing that part.
No, I get it. It's starting to veer into channel changing heat with Gallows and Anderson. But though I have to say this time, and Frankie Kazarian, again, that was another part where I sat up and I was like, oh my God, yeah, you followed back up on that. Like, so where do the Young Bucks go? Where do how many webs does Kenny Omega have with all these people? It's fine. And I say Kenny Omega, it's really all of them. Here's another feud with Frankie Kazarian, and then we said, where does Eddie Kingston go? If they're gonna write Jon Moxley off, to me, I'd say say he has that lunatic has some kind of concussion because he kept taking super kicks and BTE triggers, and then have Kingston do whatever Kingston's going to do next. I just don't know what that would be. You could have him in a singles feud with Kenny Omega. To me, I won't buy that. I'm sure Eddie Kingston will make me buy it, but at least for now, I can tell you I don't buy that Eddie Kingston's winning the title at all, But I wouldn't hate it. That reminds me too, I forgot to say, the one thing, it's all AEW tag team matches, but this was kind of almost out of line at this point. I try to be as lenient as I can with it, but, the Young Bucks were just both illegally in the match for pretty much all of it, it felt like. And when it's worse when the referees, Mike Knox, not Mike Knox. I'm thinking of Mike Knox from oh my God, 2005 or whatever in WWE. Kelly, Mike Knox.
Yeah,
no,
ECW.
What's his name? Whatever, Knox.
Now I'm just thinking about Mike Knox.
That was not Mike Knox. We can say that for sure. Something Knox.
Yeah.
The referee. He's making sure Kingston's out of the match, and there's only one of Eddie and Mox, but then the Bucks can both be in the match. It's just so glaring. They gotta do something about that. The 5 count rule or whatever it is. It's too, again, it just makes me feel like it's all simulated, rather than like something real going on, because if it was real going on, the rules would apply to both teams. So. Right.
And it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And why? And if that's the case, if you're not going to get kicked, if the referee's not going to enforce it, then why don't you just stay inside the ring the entire time? Like, it's just, the rules are there for a reason, right? And it's not even anything crazy. Like, it 2 men are in the ring at the same time. Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't get why we've strayed so far away from that basic philosophy. So.
And the further we go, it feels like we're going further every single time.
Yeah.
To me, it's like as pointless as having, they have the tag team matches with no disqualification. Okay, what is that? You know what I mean? Who cares about that then? Because they're both just going to come in. You know what I mean? It's like, that's where I get it. It just makes it so, it's a little not believable. But at the end of the day, I think this was a really good match to put over the Young Bucks as heels. They're sarcastic, they're annoying, they're awful, they're disrespectful, the stupid shoes, which was another great touch during the match too, but I know I want to move on to the next thing. But all in all, I think I don't know what was the right decision or not. I think I would have been happy with both decisions, and I think I loved not knowing at the same time too. But I think this was a really good thing to put the Young Bucks over as like heels, because you just beat the two most beloved people in the company. You know, I think that's an easy statement, or at least objectively beloved people in the company. You're probably gonna get booed out of the ring on Dynamite on Friday night.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think I like keeping the belts on the Young Bucks for now. And I think going forward, and just to see what they continue to do with Kenny, and just I like them having a good amount of gold. So I as much as I would have loved to have seen Kenny, or I'm sorry, Eddie and Moxley win the titles, I think holding off and maybe building up to it maybe more in the future when there's a little bit more time, I think it'll be even more special at that point. But I'm right there with you though. I could have gone either way with it.
Yeah, kind of a similar redemption arc as to what they're doing with Adam Page. Maybe they'll do it all in the same pay-per-view. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll have enough time to air out by the time that happens, but who knows? Well, we'll move on down the card then, unless you have anything else to add about the match.
No.
Well, the most important match of the night, most impactful at least, the Casino Battle Royale. Obviously, we'll get into what happened in the finish and all that stuff. But before we get into that, I'm curious on your thoughts. One, you know, we've talked about before. I think they never win. It's kind of silly. They never win. So, but the actual format of itself, let's call a spade, no pun intended. This is a ripoff of the Royal Rumble, right? And, like, why wouldn't you? Because that's, like, the most genius match WWE has at this point, I think. That and Money in the Bank are just, like, the most, you know, the few ideas in WWE that are so, like, again, look at where we're at in the company now, but I'm still excited for Money in the Bank somehow. Look at what they did last year, and somehow I'm still managed to be excited for Money in the Bank. So I think, you know, why wouldn't you rip off the Royal Rumble? But I've heard kind of decisive things back and forth between, you know, people online, other podcasts and all that stuff on what they think about the Casino Battle Royale. So I don't think we've talked about it. What are your thoughts on, like, the 4 people coming out at a time, the presentation of it, all the whole 9 yards?
Yeah, so it's funny you bring it up because I was watching with a friend of mine who has watched wrestling for years and is definitely not a new, or I would even say a casual fan, but maybe in regards to AEW, he's more of a casual fan. So he expected just the regular format, just pretty much he expected a Royal Rumble, just like the basic entrance and everything like that. So, and after Justin Roberts went through the rules, he was like, okay, so wait, what are they doing? Why are they in groups? Because he thought them coming out in groups, like in his mind, they were working together. So after re-explaining all of that, and I guess it is kind of confusing if you think about it, but I kind of like I don't hate it. I think it's kind of cool in a way, just because it's different. I don't know, like I don't hate it. I guess I'll say I don't hate it, and I appreciate them at least trying to do something different and not just completely ripping it off, because they definitely could have done that and just called it, you know, what they call it now, but. I kind of dig it, and it's kind of it's interesting, but I think they need is there, correct me if I'm wrong, is there like a set amount of time between like once like the group is like chosen, like between each participant? Is it like a minute or 2 minutes, or like how do they determine the time?
I think there's just you know, maybe there is, and I'm not, but it doesn't seem like it. I think it's just however long your entrance is.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think so either. And because I noticed they were playing their music for a while after they were already in the ring and like had started fighting. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know if there was like they play it for like a minute and a half, or there's like a minute and a half time span or something like that. But 30
seconds, something like that. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I didn't know if I missed that part, but yeah, you know, it's pretty cool. It is what it is. It's nothing that I would buy a pay-per-view for, per se, and I think, you know, like you mentioned as well, and like we had talked about before, we know, like, I don't think any of them have ever won. Like, I don't think...
Yeah, no one.
Yeah, no one. And I hate to say it, but Jungle Boy's not going to be the first one, and he shouldn't be right now. And I'm sure it's going to be a great match, and don't get me wrong, I'm definitely going to look forward to seeing it, but he's not going to win. So it's like, again, like, you just continue to have these matches, and no one has won. So, I don't know. It's fine, but I don't know. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually don't mind it. I think the rules are funny, as Justin Roberts is trying to explain the rules, right? Like, I'm like, okay, what? Like, and I've seen it before too, and I'm still like,
it's a lot.
What?
Like,
but
you have to pause it just to make a mental note.
Yes, exactly. Like, but I think it's not as complicated as it sounds, if that makes sense. So, like, the rules are one thing, but then when you're actually watching it, it's really not that complicated. The one thing I don't love is I feel like they show the Spades thing or the whatever, whatever club it is, and then it's like, a weird pause in between. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like I don't need to see like, oh, the big reveal is like the Spades. I don't know who the Spades are.
Right, because it's not like it's not like we know, oh, okay, like Jungle Boy drew a spade. So it's not like we know who drew a spade. Like, It's going to be a surprise regardless,
Like, what's the crowd supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like the Spades. You know what I mean?
Spade.
Maybe
right.
if they showed, like, I don't know, they'd show, like, each card with the person's face on it or something. Right. I like it, though. I do like the I think it's a nice, different view on a Royal Rumble match. And I'm with you. I like that they don't do the exact thing that, the Royal Rumble is. I will say, though, it does seem like a participation trophy award, Like everybody who's not on the card gets to be on this thing. And not everybody, obviously. But again, your big names in there are Jungle Boy and Christian Cage, right? Am I missing anyone? Matt Sydal,
no,
not really.
No, I don't think so.
Will Hobbs, but that's even pushing it, And don't get me wrong, like, to see, and we'll obviously get into the Joker and all that other stuff, but to see these, a lot of these guys, it's great. I want to see them on the pay-per-view, but I want to see them on the pay-per-view when it's their time. It doesn't do anything for me, And so, and I do like the Joker. I don't need as many of these casino battle royales and the last man ladder match face revolution thing. You know what I mean? I don't need all of these things. I think every pay-per-view doesn't need one, is my point. It is a nice breakup, but I don't know. It feels very much like a participation award is what I'll say.
No, sure.
So if the names were bigger in the Casino Battle Royale, I think I'd care more. You put a Hangman Page in there, I'm interested in the match now.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
but obviously they have more important stuff going. So I think it's just, you gotta, maybe it'll be better in a year or two when some of these main card guys kind of slip down a little while, as most of them do, and they do the rotation, and maybe we get a John Moxley in a Casino Battle Royale. Like, that, I'll be interested. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or don't have it always for the heavyweight title. Have it for, like, the TNT Championship, because then it would be I would be more inclined to think Jungle Boy had a chance of winning than he does right now,
I think that would have been a better match, too, Jungle Boy and Miro. Miro, okay.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
But, anyways, with all that being said, I'm glad I agree with you. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard a lot of negativity about it. That's why I figured I'd ask, and I'm surprised by that. I think it's...
No, I definitely enjoy it, after, and I don't want, like, it to be, like, a negative concept. Like, I enjoy it. It's just some things, like, I would tweak a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they will do that. It seems like they managed to, with, little fixes here and there. And again, this is still a new company, so, but yeah. I'll say, too, this Casino Battle Royale, out of all of them, before we get into it, obviously, was, to me, I thought they did a better job of not just, like, clearly fake punching in the corner, I thought they did a good job of making it look like they were busy in the meanwhile when other entrants were coming out and stuff like that. I also like that they didn't keep a lot of people in the ring at the same time. It didn't get too packed. Like, the last one was a tag team one, I think. That was a jumbled mess.
Yes.
So
it's just too much. It's too much. You can't keep track.
And the wrestlers can't keep track. I always talk about, or go back to Stone Cold Steve Austin said his least favorite match to work was the Royal Rumble match. Because it was all over the place. And I think these guys did a really good job of, again, making it, for the most part, everybody looked like they were doing something at all the time. And again, it's all about believability. And so I like that. I hate that, like, pushing off the rope kind of thing. Like, it just doesn't do it for me. But I think, for the most part, I thought this was a very well done battle royale, for the most part. So, obviously, we had Christian, Dustin Rhodes, Matt Sydal, and the Acclaim's Matt Caster. I gotta ask you if you can remember either, what did you think of the rap before we actually get into the match? It's like my highlight of every Dynamite.
Yo, for sure. I don't think this was one of his best ones, but it was pretty good. And I'm glad you paused on him because of course. And first of all, once people realized it was him, he got a huge pop, and that made me so happy.
Yeah.
Like because it was kind of like confirming that as well. Like, because I think, I know you're not on Twitter, and again, kudos to you for staying off as long as you have. I have been caved in for a long, long time now, unfortunately, and it's so funny to see the reactions to people because with him, I felt like it was always 50-50. I was like, I maybe kind of more negative than positive, and just seeing that was so cool. And the other hand, though, I kind of felt bad for Anthony when he came out later because he didn't get quite the reaction as Max did. But man, like he's just so entertaining, and I don't know if you noticed it, but I was so disappointed with the way that they handled his elimination, and I don't know if something went wrong or if
Yes,
that's
it
how it
felt
was
very
supposed
much
to
like
happen.
Bailey when they didn't even get him
Yeah,
on camera. Yeah.
but it was weird because like he went over the rope and then he landed on the stage that's out there, and then he just like casually just like slid down a
Not to
little
mention,
bit.
they just mentioned right before he landed on the stage, sorry to cut you off, that if you
No,
land on the stage, it counts too. It was
right,
weird.
so it was just yeah, it was just so weird, and then he just like he was kind of holding his knee and then he just like casually walked to the back. I don't know, and it was kind of quick too. Like I just maybe I was just like I'm biased I guess because I'm a big fan of his now, but like where I'm growing into it. But I just felt like maybe he would have been a bigger deal in this than he was.
Yeah, it was a clear representation as to where they see him, and I think that's fine for now, right? They're both
Yeah,
Anthony
yeah,
Bowen
he
and
is
who are
still
both
fresh.
young. You know, they have plenty. I liked how they were talking about the varsity blondes and the acclaimed and the commentary. Again, commentary.
Yeah.
It's AEW commentary. I can't talk about it enough. It's so good. It's so casual, but at the same time so well done. And so I mean, there were a little botches. The Big Show sounded like he lost his voice, but probably from all the screaming he did on Dynamite on Friday night. But I thought they just did such a good job of for the most part. You know, it's hard to follow all the stuff that's going in the ring. And so when you don't follow all of it, okay, no problem, because, like, we're struggling to follow all of it, too. It makes sense to me, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I thought it was a little bit weird. His rap, though, I liked the line to Christian about Edge. And, you know, and
Yes,
he seemed like he
yes. I
forgot
almost
his
forgot about
lines for a
that.
little while, all the yos, but it sounded a little bit silly. And then you hear JR saying yo, and that was, like, my highlight of the night, too. Oh, so good. But I think he's like the reinvigorated Dr. Thugonomics. I really love the raps
Totally.
every time. And it's not all about, SMD at the end of every single rap. So
Right.
the line about Renee Paquette's oral sessions too.
That was my favorite rap right
That's
there.
the
That
best
one.
one yet. Yeah.
I popped so hard. I was like, no, he did, and it was so well done.
And it was right
so
there.
well done.
And I didn't even, because I was thinking about, it's so funny. I'm like thinking about what his rap, I'm just such a dork. I'm thinking about what's his rap going to be the minute they announce the match for the
Yes.
next week. So 7 days, I'm thinking about, what's he going to rap about? And I don't know why I didn't think about oral, it was like right there. So
Yes.
good. Yeah,
Brilliant.
every single week it's like something I look forward to. So I wanted to ask you about that, but yeah, I thought that was a good way to have them all enter, though, obviously with Matt Sydal and Christian, because they had that whole kind of mini thing building up to it, and with Will Hobbs, too, and all that. But obviously, as we go to the end of the match, because I'm not going to recap this whole thing, the fight came down to Christian Cage and Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy gets the win, gets Christian Cage over the top rope. So I thought I'll take this one first. I thought overall, like I said, this match, I thought they did a really good job in between. I was confused. I don't know why, and I forget his name, which one it was, but one of the guys with Matt Hardy, I couldn't, Private Party. I couldn't tell if he was actually in the match with him or not. Maybe that,
Oh,
because it was because of what he was wearing. You know what I mean? I didn't know if he
yeah,
was
and
in
they
the
had
match or
matching
not.
outfits too.
But because he looked so casual, so I thought he was just helping Matt Hardy out the entire match. And I was like, oh no, he's in the match with him. Okay,
Well,
got
no,
it.
yeah, no, I totally agree because I think Isaiah Kennedy was the one who came out later.
Cassidy.
Yeah,
Isaiah
no,
Cassidy.
Isaiah Kennedy was the one who was in the ring with Matt, right?
Yes, Cassidy. Is it Cassidy or I think it's Cassidy?
Yeah, I think Isaiah or maybe Kennedy. Oh man, no, I don't know.
Oh, who cares? We get the point.
But Mark Quinn I think is the one who came out later on. But they had matching outfits because then that's when I was like, oh well, wait, so is Isaiah also in the match as well? Because like he was in there the entire time,
Yeah,
just
I know,
like
it's
acting
weird.
like he was. So it was just and then I'm pretty sure it turns out he wasn't. But it's kind of bizarre. But yeah, I was right there with you.
No, I
kinda
think he
confused
was.
on
He
that.
was included in the match. That was the whole confusion of the spades, like the different clubs thing. Again, that's where this can lose me a little bit. But whatever. I did like what they did about the waiting and beating up. I think it was 10, right? Who came out next?
Yeah.
I thought that was like, why wouldn't you do that? You know what I
Right,
mean?
it's so smart.
So, like, little detail, I think AEW is so good with the little details a lot of the time. Sometimes they miss some, obviously, like we talked about before in the tag team match. But and I love the pop that Brian Pillman got. Brian Pillman Jr., obviously. I thought that was really, I don't know if you watched that Dark Side of the Ring, but if you didn't, go watch. It's
I haven't
so
seen
good.
it yet.
Oh
No.
my God, so good. And we're watching all of them now, too, just because they're so well done. My fiance makes fun of me because she's like, what are they? I'm like, they're so well done is what they are. It's just the narration. I think it's Chris
Yeah,
Jericho.
no, they are.
Yeah, so I would go watch it. But it was nice to hear him get the pop, obviously, and I thought almost everybody looked really good in this match, despite what you said, about Max Caster, and I really thought they were going to give it to Christian Cage. So I think I thought they did a really good job of playing off of that, kind of similar to what they did with Charlotte in the Royal Rumble last, or with Randy Orton, where they're like, oh, we're going to give it to this guy. You all think we're going to give it to this guy or this gal. And then no, Jungle Boy actually got the win. So overall, I enjoyed this. It was fun. It was nothing like 5-star or anything like that, but I enjoyed this, and I thought Jungle Boy getting the win was good too. He's not gonna win. I would have rather had it for the TNT title because I would have loved to see Miura just kick the crap out of Jungle Boy. Honestly, my sadistic side, I guess. But we'll what was I forget it. Dante Martin, that was so fun to watch. Maybe I'm just sick, but I thought that was such a great match. So. Jungle Boy taking the win I did like, though, and I love the match. What did you think? The finish, the match, the whole thing?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you on that as well. I had money down on Christian. I thought he was going to win the whole thing just because I thought it was kind of obvious, right? Like they would be going towards that direction. It'd be not an easy win for Kenny, but like a good and substantial and incredible win. So it was interesting to see them going with Jungle Boy, and I heard someone mention, I don't know what I was listening to, but someone had mentioned they wonder if Jungle Boy would have won if there was no, if the fans weren't there still, or if they just did it because it was a feel-good moment and kind of go that route for it. So
that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I didn't either. So I just thought that was kind of interesting as well. So even if that is why, at the end of the day, it's Jungle Boy's a good wrestler, and he's grown. I think he's one of the ones who have grown so much within the past year plus. So I think it'll be a good match. Like I said, we know he's not going to win, but I think it's still going to be a good, probably 18-20 minute match. So I was surprised Christian didn't win, but I'm still kind of excited to see what they end up doing with Jungle Boy and when it's going to happen, because it doesn't have a set date unless they ended up mentioning it at some point later on. But it's just interesting to see that they didn't, especially announce it for next week or the week after. And I wonder if that's because they keep getting preempted by the NBA. So it's just interesting to see what's going to happen the next few weeks going forward.
Yeah, I think they said 2 weeks, right? And I'm gonna Excalibur you, JR, and tell you. I'm looking at it now. It is Cassidy, not Kennedy. So now we know.
Okay.
But
okay.
And we forgot to mention all through all of that, right? The Joker, Leo Rush. Again. Yeah. I would have never guessed that for some reason, but obviously such a talent, and he's been really, doing all. I'm not a indie wrestler watcher. I just don't have the time to watch all of this stuff. But I am aware that Leo Rush has been making the rounds in New Japan and all around the world, really. So it was super good to see him, super talented. I just thought the elimination of him was kind of like a big FU.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Again, lackluster, just so weird. The elimination is a big deal, and it should be a big deal, especially once you get down towards the end and there's the least amount of people. It should be the main thing that you're focusing on. So it's just kind of a weird twist there. But and like you said, I was very surprised. He was nowhere on my radar at all. I did not put one thought into him at all. So I'm curious to see if he's going to end up sticking around for a while, or if it was just a 1 or 2 night thing.
Yeah, I'd like to see him around. I thought he was a little bit clunky in some of the moves that he was doing. Just, I think, probably takes a little bit of adjustment period. You're obviously wrestling different people, but some of the moves he pulled off, the Poison Rana, the running Spanish Fly, it was awesome. It just, some of the weird stuff with the ropes just felt a little bit clunky. So, but I think I want to see him wrestle just a regular match on AEW too, because I thought he was so much fun to watch. He's so tiny. And all I could think about the entire time he was going down the ring was Lashley.
Me too. Me too.
So another great thing that they had that I thought they,
just
missed the ball on. But it was good to see Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt come out too and celebrate. Though I think I texted you this too. Obviously, Jungle Boy got a longer celebration than the new women's champion, but. And it was nice to see the moment with Christian Cage, too. I thought they were just going to shake hands, but I actually, again, maybe I'm just emotional right now, but, I got a little, choked up when I saw them hugging and, go win that belt or whatever. It was just, again, the commentary does it for me every time.
No, absolutely. I thought it was a nice touch as well, because I think they've been, not teetering, but, just Christian isn't, or hasn't been, the clear-cut babyface, and just been so... I guess positive. He's just been kind of blunt, just kind of real, and just I don't know, just not exactly what you would expect, like a pure babyface to be and stuff to say. But I think last night just really proved a point and just kind of solidified that yeah, he is here for the right reasons. And I think that's just like another notch on his journey going forward right now too.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. It's a great way to look at it too. And I think this is actually, now that I think about it, it's probably going to be really good for Jungle Boy because I think he's kind of got a weird Britt Baker story, but it's just going to be a much longer version of it where, he's obviously newer, fresher in the beginning, but I think give it 2-3 years, maybe more of a Red Velvet story, and he's going to be your top baby face, and they will go back to the match that him and Omega are going to have where I think we're both calling that he's not going to win and be like, he had this chance and he was too young then. But now look at him now. Here he is 2-3 years later, and I think he's definitely a future AEW champion in my opinion. If not that, at least the TNT champion.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
So I guess speaking of TNT champions, moving on down the line, the next America versus the UK. God, I hate that. Cody Rhodes, the American Dream versus Anthony Ogogo. I'm going to throw it over to you first, but before we do, I'll just give us the ending to this match. Obviously, Cody Rhodes defeats Anthony Ogogo. Anthony Ogogo obviously landing a bunch of shots at the midsection. But Rhodes ends up delivering the vertebreaker to score the pinfall. What did you? I have my own thoughts about this, but what did you think? And I don't think we really got to talk too much. I know we talked, but we didn't get to talk on the air about kind of how you felt about this whole feud and how they made it about America and all that other stuff. So, throwing it over to you first.
Yeah, I just, not to get too far into anything, but especially nowadays, now is just not the time to be so pro and like gung-ho America. Like it's fine, like, how it's fine how he had it, right? The American Nightmare, the flag on his logo and stuff like that. Like that's cool, like that, whatever. But it just didn't seem like the promo that he cut was so heavy. And it just didn't seem fitting for this feud, that especially now that he ended up winning, that it was just going to be so short-lived. And I think for me, the weigh-in as well was just so underwhelming. And I don't know, this just whole thing just kind of felt like a miss to me and just didn't sit well, this whole feud. And I think it was an interesting way to bring Anthony Ogogo in. I think he ended up doing fine in the match itself. I think he should have won. I think if you're going to put all this into him and have this whole feud, then why not have at least someone win? Because I think now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Cody has beat everyone in the Nightmare Factory, their little faction. So that's pretty much it, I guess, at this point, unless there's something that I'm missing. But I don't know. Like it felt like it was a little too long as well, but it was I don't know, like I love Cody, like I'm a big Cody Rhodes fan, like I've since he's left, like he's another one that like bet on himself and like look what he's done, he's one of the ones who helped put AEW into existence. So it's just I don't know, like this was just a miss to me. The promo itself I think is just started it off on the wrong foot and it just never really got corrected from there, but I could be in the minority on that. But yeah, I just wasn't feeling this at all. I just felt like it was kind of unnecessary. Like they could have had like a feud fine without bringing anything else into it like that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. I think I get it. I liked the American Dream aspect of it, but I didn't like where it had to come from, if that makes sense. I love Cody
He could have
Rhodes
said
too.
it without saying all of that, like he could have said, like he could have embraced like the American Dream slogan and Nightmare and like that side and not have just been so, I don't know, just.
Or maybe saved it for a match against Miro. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
To go against.
yeah.
Also, the UK, like we're not. I don't know, not to like get like whatever UN and all of us on, but like
Right.
we're allies with the UK. We don't have a problem with the UK as the
Right.
United States. So it just was weird. I'm with you, and I think Cody Rhodes' promos seemed more like he was running for governor than he was cutting a wrestling promo, and I know he's talked about wanting to do some kind of government stuff after this, but it was weird. You can join Linda McMahon on all that stuff, but I'm with you. I didn't like that promo too much. Again, the more I don't think I was as critical as I should have been on this podcast about it then, but the more it sunk in, I just thought it was so unnecessary. But Cody Rhodes is such a good promo that he can almost get away with anything. But like you said, it was unnecessary. This whole thing was unnecessary to make it about, U.S. versus, England. And also, I felt like Cody Rhodes was wrestling as the heel most of this match. You heard a go-go chants?
Yeah.
Like, the guy's blind in one eye, like, eye, or almost blind in one eye. Maybe I'm just
80%
empathizing.
blind.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, did you see his interview or his promo that he cut?
I heard about it.
The follow-up one after Cody did his on Dynamite. I think Anthony, it was him, QT, maybe Aaron Solo, and one other person. I think they were like standing backstage somewhere in some alley. I don't know, and I don't remember exactly word for word, what he said, but he was pretty, like, everything. I remember it was like maybe a 2-minute video or something, but I just remember leaving and thinking, like, he's right. Like, he essentially said, like, America is a country where, like, you have homeless people on the street or dying on the streets, and, like, he just pretty much just stated some facts, right?
About America,
so I just
yeah,
remember
exactly.
Thinking, like, yeah, like, not to get too much into it, again, but it's like, like, you're kind of right there, dude. Like, like, no country's perfect, but it's like, why do I hate you again? Like, why is this, like, America versus the UK? Like, I don't know. It was just very odd to me. Like, I can appreciate where he probably wanted to go with it, but this was just not it, and not the right time, I feel like.
No, I think that needs to be left in the 80s or the 90s at this point. Like, cutting a pro-America promo is probably going to lose you about at least 50% of your fan base, just as to where the state of the world is at now. And we'll, I guess, leave it at that as politicalness. But, like, I'm with you. I don't want to go back and have to edit this, so I will just say that Cody is such a word that rhymes with prick. To me, like, I think he just, and again, I was wearing an American Nightmare t-shirt last night. So funny. Like, I'm like a Cody Rhodes fan, but I mean, I don't think there's another human being on this planet that could pull off the stuff that he does and not get booed out of the building. Just the way he was, just everything about him. It's the way in, like you said, I felt like he came off really bad. I just think he doesn't come off well with all of this, Cody Rhodes stuff that he does. It's kind of getting old, and I don't know if we're on our way to a heel turn. And, who knows, Ashley, like, maybe they are way beyond us right now, and this is actually this long-term storytelling into this heel turn that's coming on, and we just don't know about it, or something's going, maybe I just give AEW the benefit of the doubt a lot of the time, but, like, the match itself, it was awesome to see Anthony Ogogo wrestle, but, like, I thought Cody Rhodes no-sold the punch the rib. He didn't no-soul it, but, like, that knocked him out and was making people bleed from the mouth, yet Cody Rhodes could wrestle the whole match. Like, you just ruined the finisher that you had spent weeks building up. It seemed weird.
And why does one person bleed from the mouth off of, like, 1 or 2 punches, and Cody literally went, like you said, the entire match, and I don't recall him bleeding from the mouth. So it's just, I mean, not that I necessarily...
And Cody Rhodes loves to bleed.
Exactly, and like that, I was just expecting it, right? Because like if one punch does it to a guy, then of course, like a whole match, like when he's like, that's the whole point, is to beat your opponent. Like, I was expecting the worst, right? And it just didn't happen. So that was just like another weird thing to me. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, this
just wasn't it.
If it was, you were gonna do some big American Dream thing, this did not have that feel to it at all. And I think, like I said, it felt like Cody Rhodes was wrestling as the heel. Anthony Ogogo has it. Whatever it is, he's got it. He's got some star power. It's just this. Yeah. And again, and then he loses. And I think if you didn't do this whole American UK thing, he could have won. But you kind of pinned America against him, so now he's kind of got to lose. Because, you've got your first full crowd back, and you're going to have America lose. There was maybe like one USA chant, I think, the entire time. Maybe it wasn't even during the match, and it was during the weigh-in thing. That weigh-in too was weird.
It was like, so awkward.
So unnecessary.
Yeah. And it's so long, too. But it was just...
and quiet. Like weirdly quiet. Like, they didn't do anything. There was no track. They was just, like, wait.
And it's like, and, like, they weighed 218 and then 219 pounds. Like, okay, like, are we supposed to cheer that? Or, like, what was your goal weight? Like, what was the target? Yeah. Like, were you trying to hit 215, so you didn't quite hit it? So, like, should we boo that? Like, I don't... Like, okay, like, he weighs 218 pounds. Like, why... I get what they're going for, right? And, like, the sports feel to it, and I can appreciate that, but, like, you didn't set, like, any boundaries around it. Like, what are you supposed to weigh?
Yeah,
like,
and
what was your goal, man?
And honestly, I felt like Anthony Ogogo didn't look that good during that. Maybe that was just me. I just felt like it didn't. I don't know. And neither did the whole thing was kind of weird. And that's just like weird stripping naked in the state. It was like weird. It was just weird. And then not to mention too, Arn Anderson, the rest of the factory isn't British. They're American, aren't they? So why are they with the dude who's like, your country sucks?
Yeah.
Big plot hole.
It's just, oh my gosh. There's just so many things.
What?
And
Anyway.
did you, it was so funny when Paul White said, when Anthony came out with like his little posse, whatever, he was like, "Oh, you had to bring backup and everything," and then literally Cody comes out with probably 3 times the amount of people that Anthony Ogogo came out with.
Yeah.
I was just like, like again, like I get what he was doing and like they're his students and everything, and that's cool, but like it's just so funny because like he literally just crapped on the heel for bringing out backup, quote unquote, and then Cody literally has like 50 people out there.
And I
It was
expected
just
like at least a brawl or something. You know what I mean? Nothing.
yeah.
Nothing happened.
And like it just ended. And like and Cody was just like, "Thank you, Paul." Like just walked up to Big Show and just like, "Thank you." Like it's just like, okay. Like, okay, well now we know like Cody weighs 218 pounds and Anthony weighs 219. That's good to know. Like I don't know, I just wish they would have said something. Like it could have just, even if that was it, like their target weight. I don't know. Maybe I just cared too much about stuff like that.
No, I'm with you, and I think the match was good, but it wasn't
Yeah.
amazing. It was like a solid B+ match.
It could have been like on a Dynamite. I feel
Yes,
like it could have been like
exactly.
the main event on Dynamite.
That's exactly what I'm going for. And honestly, and I hate to like give it, Cody Rhodes had weird John Cena vibes to me. Like
Yeah, he's getting there.
patriotic,
Yeah.
like forced down, and I think he's like, I think AEW fans are really, for the most part, in a lot of these, at least in the beginning match, I felt this way. They understand this is the person being presented as a heel, this is the person being presented as the good guy. Like, we will go along with that if you let us go along with that. Obviously there's like a Britt Baker is kind of almost an exception, whatever else, but like that's a whole nother topic actually. But if the bad guy and the good guy are well presented, I don't think AEW fans just cheer the other person and cheer the other person. I don't think any fans really do that, but still. This just was poorly presented, I think, too, is another case of just, like, weird gray area. No more tweeners, It was like a weird tweener match. Yeah. And I felt weird supporting either one, because this guy's trashing my country, and this guy's supporting the country that I don't really like right now,
Exactly.
Whatever.
And it's unnecessary, because it's like, you create this stuff. Like, it wasn't forced. Like, you came up with this. It's just completely unnecessary, in my opinion.
And it had Cody Rhodes written all over it, too. It's kind of like the Chris Jericho thing I had mentioned, where, Chris Jericho, like, the champagne, like, truck and stuff, like, it just it's almost, and I gave it, like, weird WCW comparisons where, it was a time where, obviously, a lot of those wrestlers had too much creative control, where they started to, like, ruin a lot of the product because they cared more about themselves than the actual product itself. And so, I don't know the whole story, obviously, behind that stuff, but there's obviously, there's history to back that up, and it's got a weird hint of that kind of vibe where it's not ruining the product. I don't want to get dramatic here, but it's weird. Like, I don't, it's almost like Tony Khan would be like, oh, if you think that's the right thing to do, Cody, you know what I mean? I'm going to let you go do your thing.
Right.
And it didn't work. Like, I feel like there needs to be this is like the weird other side of the unscripted stuff and the unchecked stuff. Like, there needs to be some kind of supervision that says, yeah, probably
like a controller.
Shouldn't cut a pro-America promo right now, dude. You know what I mean?
Well, did you hear, that's what I meant to tell you, that he apparently, like, took that promo to a focus group and they approved it?
Oh, no. God.
Yeah, I didn't hear the actual interview where he stated it, so I just heard, like, a brief recap, but he apparently ran that promo prior to actually doing it, obviously, by a focus group and told them, like, what he was going to say and essentially, like, the promo, like, what he was going to bring up. And they're like, yeah, it's great, go for it. And so that's why he did it. So I'm gonna look for it later and see if I can find it and send it to you. But yeah, and like I said, I haven't heard the whole thing myself, but I just thought it was interesting. And why, I don't know.
You have to say that. You know what I mean? If you have to say, oh, but I ran this by a focus group and they said it was okay, like that, a little bit weird. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm all for real
and just
stuff
the
too.
Thought of even needing to run it by a focus group is like, if you have to, I don't know.
No,
it's just interesting.
And I'm all for, like, as Bully Ray, I don't know if you listen, I'm going to give them credit in the Busted Open podcast, talks about this. Bully Ray I think, is one of his greatest wrestling minds. I just love hearing him talk.
I love that show, yeah.
And he's so I can't stand some of the other, like, Dave LaGreca or anything, but I just love hearing Bully Ray talk about wrestling, period. And he talks a lot about, I just don't want to take credit for this because this is not my thought, but I agree with it 100%. He talks about, bringing realness into wrestling and touching on things that are real. Like, you know, when did all of a sudden we get so, like, this is supposed to be a simulated, like when we watch TV and they touch on something, I don't know, like Chicago PD or one of those shows, and they touch on the fact that, like, you know, there's shootings with police officers and people of color, and that's obviously an issue. And what, like, when they touch on that, you're not like, ooh, Chicago PD probably shouldn't have done an episode about that. You know what I mean? You're just like, oh, okay, that's the show, and they're making drama. So why is it weird that, like, if pro wrestling touches on some kind of real stuff, and I'm not saying that particularly, but just, like, real stuff, but this just didn't work. It was unnecessary. You know what I mean? If you're going to touch on something real, I think, go for something that again, like the chair shot to the head was controversial, right? But it worked because it got everybody talking about AEW.
Right. And he's still the chairman. Like, he's still going on with that tagline,
exactly.
And you know why.
Exactly. So if you're gonna, and that's like a real thing. People are scared. CTE. It's all like, you know. Yeah. Go for it. Get a work chair. Make that. You know what I mean? Like, let's get real about wrestling again. Like, because we're supposed to be simulating real life events. You know. So this again, it was muddy, and it didn't make sense. Like I said, UK and US. Like, I have friends from the UK. I have family from the UK. We don't have a problem with each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just funny, whatever. We're not to go down in politics, but I think that a lot of wrestling fans in the world is sensitive today, and so you can go towards real stuff, but just, I don't know, pick and choose your battles kind of thing. This is not worth it to me. Yeah. Well, so let me ask you before we move on, where do you think Anthony Ogogo goes from? Where do you think Anthony Ogogo goes from here, and where do you think Cody Rhodes goes from here? Is he starting to get the golden shovel? Like, what are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I really don't know. I truly don't know what Cody would do after this. That's why, again, I was surprised that he won that match because I felt like Anthony needed the win more than Cody did. So
and he could do it with a write-off.
Yeah, exactly. And that was my thing because I feel like now would be a perfect time for him to just take time off. You know, we still have time until the second show is going to start, which I think is August. So you still have plenty of time to take some time off, and this is perfect for Brandy. You know, they're about to have their child and everything like that. So I don't know, it just, like, if you wrote everything down, it just makes sense, and maybe that's why they didn't do that, because it did make sense. So, I don't know. I really don't know, but...
It's funny. Maybe that's why they didn't do it, because it would make sense.
Yeah, you know, just to swerve everyone, I guess, and if that's the case, then I guess you know, mission accomplished.
Got
it. I truly don't know, because Anthony is more of a question than anything else, because, like, what can he do? Like, he's not in a team with, like, a tag team, I guess, like, unless him and QT are going to be a tag team, but then that defeats the whole focus of what you were just putting on him for the past couple weeks. So I really don't know with this one. It's hard. What do you think?
No, I'm with you. I don't know where they go either. Maybe just Cody Rhodes just says, "Oh, I won for my country, and now I'm going to go off and be a dad of a multi-race child." Okay, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know. I think Cody Rhodes has got to turn heel at some point, because now with live crowds coming back, I don't think it's going to work anymore. If he continues down this, you know, I have my own van truck thing that I need to bring into the stadium and do the figure four on top of, and the American Dream in America, and I don't know, I've got the whole crew. Like you said, all those weird things. I come out with the entire Nightmare family. Like, it just, all this stuff is starting to add up, and it's starting to make
He
Cody
always
Rhodes...
has a specific entrance, like,
oh, yeah.
He always would come up in the center. You know?
He didn't do it this time, though, did he? So let's give credit where Cody Rhodes is credit. It just, his ego almost feels like it's getting too big, and I don't know. Maybe we're not giving them enough credit. Maybe that's a whole storyline that's going to go into. Maybe someone's going to point that out. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe it's Arn. You know, but I have a feeling Cody Rhodes is gone soon, because I assume his wife is due somewhat soon. But maybe they didn't want to do a Jon Moxley and Cody Rhodes thing where they both are. I don't know. You know what? I don't know. I really don't. But you know what? Let's do it again. I'm going to give faith in AEW that they're going to do something with this somehow. And I just hope Anthony Ogogo gets to continue to progress, and this doesn't end up hindering him somehow. I don't know how they're going to pull that off, but to me, Anthony Ogogo was the triumphant babyface in this match, with the bleeding from the eye and all. You know what I mean? Whatever. So that's where I'm going. Cody Rhodes is a heel, and Anthony Ogogo comes out of this as a babyface. It was a double turn. That's how I saw this match. It was. Okay, on to one match that I didn't really love, to another match I didn't love. So I'm curious. I'll throw it to you first again. But this was the TNT Championship match. It was Miro versus Lance Archer, obviously with Jake the Snake Roberts and we get towards the end of the match, and Miro is going for the submission, the accolade, and he can't get it in, does the knees to the back. I did like that. That was a nice touch, and then essentially gets him to go unconscious with the accolade and referee stoppage, which they're doing a lot of those referee stoppages. So that's why I like that Riho tapped out. I don't know why. I just thought, it ruins the effect of it, if that makes any sense, that every babyface has to do it now. So I like that Riho tapped out earlier in the match. But anyways, Miro defeats Archer to retain. Let me throw it over to you first. What did you like about the big men slapping each other around match? The two big guys.
Yeah. No, I agree. First of all, I'm happy Miro retained. Obviously, I think he should have. It would have been way too soon to take it off and kind of stupid. So I think he was the obvious winner going into this. But it wasn't what I was expecting either. I was kind of, I don't want to say let down by this, but it just didn't hit like I thought it was going to, right? So I don't know. Like, it just didn't seem, something just seemed off with this one. And from the beginning, like, I still wanted to see exactly what happened with Archer. Like, did he slip when at the very start of the match when he was diving over to, like, attack Miro? Like, how did he slip like that? We just saw, like, the last portion of him, like, barely hitting Miro. So I wanted to go back and see that. But it was just kind of weird just right from the start. And with Jake Roberts coming out and the whole thing with the snake in the bag, it's just so funny. Like, you can totally see someone like Miro throwing the snake. So I think that was pretty fitting. So that was, I guess, kind of cool. But I'm kind of over having Jake Roberts with Lance as a whole. I'm just kind of done with them. I don't think Lance Archer needed Jake Roberts to begin with. I think Lance is a good enough talker on his own, and I think Jake would have been better for someone else. So I don't know. Like, I don't, again, want to see just Jake, not saying he doesn't deserve to be on the show, but just maybe with someone else or just doing something different. But this one was okay, but I don't know. It just kind of felt off to me. What about you?
No, I'm with you. Again, it's this common theme. I feel like something was missing. And I don't know what this was like. I give it a solid like C+, because I liked a lot of the work in it. And I don't know if it was hindered by coming off that other match. You know what I mean? Like, if coming from the Anthony Ogogo and Cody Rhodes match, going into this, obviously, correct me if I miss anything, by the way, because I'm going down. These are not my notes. I'm just going down the match card. But I thought that maybe hindered it a little bit. I thought this, like, just didn't, it was supposed to have a big fight feel, and it didn't. I don't know if it had to do anything with, like, to me, the story building up to it was kind of bad. It's just Lance Archer coming onto the stage with Jake Roberts holding him back like 4 weeks in a row with different TNT champions, nonetheless. And then what happened with that whole thing with Sting? There was nothing. So I didn't get all that. I don't know if they called an audible or whatever the plan was, but I will say I'm with you. The Miro throwing the snake up the ramp, like, I don't, any kind of, it could have been a tarantula for all I care, like, any weird animal cruelty like that, in my opinion. Like, I know it's probably not a real snake in there, right? So, I'm okay, but, like, the idea of, that's a live animal and Miro's being, awful and throwing it up, like, okay, I hate Miro now. You got me with that. He was like, that was good heel tactic for me, at least, just because I'm, like, care more about animals than I do about humans for some reason.
Right.
But I'll say that Lance Archer, like, put in some awesome work in this match. Like, there were some really awesome moves. I just think, I'm with you, something was missing. And I wonder how everybody else obviously felt about that, too. All of the people who are listening to this about, if maybe this was really good for them, too, and maybe we were just the outliers. But to me, I don't know. I'm looking out, obviously, on the Bleacher Report to make sure I get all the matches down here, and they give it a C+. So I wasn't that far off,
look
I
at
guess.
that.
So, yeah, I'm not, I'm with you. I don't mind Jake Roberts with Lance Archer, especially more now as a babyface than a heel. I think it adds better. It works better if he's a babyface, which I assume he is. It seems like that's what they were trying to go for. I think, having, like, an old man in the corner to be able to get punched in the gut, like, always does well for you as a babyface, So I don't mind that, and I think the dynamic can work, but I'm with you. I think Lance Archer needs to be more the front man, and Jake Roberts can be more of just, like, kind of how Arn Anderson is with Cody. He's more just like, he's just there with him because he's like his coach or his whatever, more of a coach than like a front man, if that makes sense. And I don't know if that's the right word I'd use for Jake, but I think he needs to take a little bit more of a step back and let Lance Archer do more and have him just like be there for credibility purposes. So yeah, this doesn't really, I was not excited. Maybe it's also the middle of the card. And like I said, this is a long pay-per-view. So maybe
Yeah.
that played a part in it. Just like, there's got to be just the TNT title match though. To me, shouldn't be a pee break, and to me, this felt like a pee break
Right.
match.
Especially with his first big defense,
Yeah, I think this would have been better if they put like someone akin to Dante Martin. Obviously not Dante Martin. I don't think all credit to Dante Martin, by the way, who sells beautifully.
Oh,
But,
yeah, he did a great job.
That I enjoyed that match more than I enjoyed this match. So I think having, I wish that they had built up just a smaller guy and you got that kind of, false finish feel. And like I wasn't rooting for Lance Archer in this. I was rooting for Miro.
Right, me too.
And the crowd was partially too. Miro does such a good job, I think, of playing the heel, so I don't think he'll have a problem with that. But it didn't work for me. This whole thing didn't work. I think the story going into it really hindered it, the lack thereof, at least.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, good. So we don't have to spend much more time on that. But hopefully, obviously, Miro's title reign, ends up. Just feed small wrestlers to that guy, for like weeks and months on end. That's all I want to see. Until I get sick of it, I'll let you know, but I probably won't, because it works. Make him look like a monster.
Right, and he sounds like a monster. Everything about him, and he's in great shape too, by the way. Like,
Oh
I
my
don't know
God,
why,
he's a
but last
beast.
night it really stood out. Like, he has abs. Like, just thinking the back, like, from where he started, like, just body-wise, and just his whole look and how he looks now, he looks amazing. So, whatever he's doing, he's done a phenomenal job.
And when a guy starts to lose his neck to, like, his traps, you're like, okay, that's a big dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a beast, and he looks like a beast, and he talks like a beast too. Sometimes
Right.
his words get a little funny to me, and I was saying that I think last week or 2 weeks ago just about his promo. I don't know if it's the English or whatever it is, but he obviously speaks fluent English. But just like obviously when you're from another country originally, it can still be a little bit funky. And so I don't know if it's that or just the way he speaks, his dialect, or if it's his cadence or something's a little bit off for me. But that seems to only be me. Seems like other people seem to really. And I think he killed Archer on the mic too in the promos.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think he owned, like, so that didn't help either. So I think this was a match I would never go back and watch again, and something to forget. But on to something I will never forget, because probably one of the greatest days of both of our lives, the AEW Women's Championship match, Hikaru Shida versus Britt Baker. I'll take this one first, obviously, with Baker taking the win. Back and forth, obviously, the entire match, but essentially Baker gets Shida caught in the lockjaw, and if I'm correct, she tapped out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
she did.
So two women at least tapped out. So they, whatever. I'm not even gonna go down that road. Anyways, I was hyped about this. Obviously, we were both hyped about this match, and hyped. It was a foregone conclusion that Britt Baker was taking the title, I think, and honestly, side note too, I think Rebel is such an underrated factor to Britt Baker. I think she does such a good job as the annoying cheerleader. I have to say, I don't think she gets enough recognition for it. I think she plays the part perfectly. Whatever her role is, she plays it perfectly. So I just wanted to mention that too. But this match to me was not as awesome as that I would have hoped it would have been. I think both of these women have had a better match beforehand. I don't know what happened, or maybe it's just me, but I thought this was kind of clunky, but what I will say I liked is that wrestling shouldn't be so cut and dry and perfect looking. It should be a struggle back and forth. It should be like, why can't I get you in the submission? Or like, I'm trying to lift you up for the, suplex and I can't get you. Like, it should look like the two are struggling back and forth. Right. It shouldn't look. So I will say that this match did that, and I did like that. I think it was just stark contrast to what I'm used to seeing. So, there was that, and some of the, punches back and forth just looked weak, and then when the other person sells it like it's not, it makes it look even worse, and just some of this stuff kind of just missed for me. But at the end, we got to the thing that we all knew was going to happen. Maybe that's also why it didn't, do a lot for me. I think they did their best towards the end of the match to try to give us the false finishes of Shida winning and to make Shida look like the babyface. I think Shida kind of wrestled like a heel in this match too. I had mentioned to you, I said the story being told in this match was weird. I don't know if they called it on the fly, because obviously Britt Baker was getting all kinds of babyface chants the entire night. I think she's coming out on Friday night and cutting a heel promo, but I don't know what the deal was, but it almost felt like Britt Baker was the overcoming babyface in this match too, and Shida was the heel. I just think the story being told was weird, but I like the ending, and I like that the two women showed the struggle. Same kind of deal. Like that they were in a fight, nonetheless, and obviously to have Britt Baker win that title was great. And you know what? I'll say the title does look a little bit bigger than it did on Friday to me. A little bit bigger. It's still a stupid belt. It's still, why does it like that? Even the women's belt has to be like skinny. Can we talk about that? Like that's a whole other thing to go down, but I don't know. Whatever. Britt Baker won. I'm happy about that, but I'll throw it over to you before I go on a whole side tangent of something that no one I think wants to hear.
No, I I agree with you. And again, I'll just keep it brief. The title does look better, but it's slightly bigger, but I mean, they did the bare minimum with the modifications on it.
Why did they even do one?
I don't know.
I want Friday Britt Baker to come out, throw the new title in the trash, and pull out a better title. I want her to have a bigger title than Kenny Omega.
That's what, that's what I'm expecting. Like, I don't know why. I just have this feeling she's gonna have like a new title. And it's gonna look completely different. But because they made such a big deal about giving Sheeta this new title, like specifically to her, they didn't like swap it out or anything like that. So I don't know. It's weird, but anyway, I think like I agree with you again. I think the match itself wasn't the best out of either of them, but I think the last, I would say, yeah, like 5 to 8 minutes definitely saved the match in and of itself because those false finishes really got me. I thought when she got hit with the crutch, I was like, oh my gosh, they're not going to do it. They're going to hold out. Like I was so, like I was about to get real upset. I'm not even gonna lie. They had me on a couple of them. But I just remember when she got hit with the crutch, just thinking like, oh my gosh, they're not going to do it. But man, just everything about Britt looked just like amazing. Like her gear, like the
blood.
like the blood, yeah, like all of that, and then the glove itself, how that was different. Like it was just it just looked like a star, right? And it just looked like the face of the company, and I feel like she should open the show on Friday. I feel like she should be the first thing that comes out and opens the show, whether they want to do like a full like appreciation type thing, or if she just wants to come out and just like they're just gonna like design it as her just coming out and just like addressing her win or whatever. So I don't know, but I feel like they now like something about her just screams like the face of the, and I could be biased again here as well, but I just feel like she could be the face, like male or female. I just feel like there's something about her, and I think WWE really missed the ball on her as well. So I'm happy they pulled the trigger, and I think Sheeta did a great job, and I think she deserved having her moment on Dynamite as well. But I can't wait to see and hear what Britt says, and I'm just here for it. And I hope they keep it on her for a long time, but I'm curious to see where they go next, if they go straight back to Thunder Rosa with her, or if they like just have her like beat maybe like, I don't want to say weaker opponents, but maybe just like a different level of opponent, and then just kind of build her up that way, or what.
Yeah, you're gonna have to help me with the name. What is? And she just came back from injury. Alien.
Chris Statlander.
That's what it is. And I'm so bad with names because I love her. I think she's awesome. I could see them having a match next. You know what I mean? Having being the first challenger. I just see Britt Baker taking on the role of elevating a lot of these babyface women and like building.
Do you think really quick? Do you think she's going to be a heel or a face going forward?
I think she's going to be a heel because I think, or if anything, a tweener-ish. But I think that yes, she got the cheers. I want to say that the cheers that Sheeta did get, I was like really like hoping to hear more and more every time they were doing it, because Sheeta did get cheers, and it wasn't 50-50, but she got cheers, and I think she deserved them. I think they were appreciation cheers, and I think we all just kind of knew going into this. It's like talk about a good problem. You built your challenger so well that we all knew what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I was concerned that she wasn't going to get the respect she deserved, or as much of it.
She deserved more, in my opinion, but at least she got something. Yeah. And Aishu crying, coming out into the ring because she hadn't gotten to wrestle in front of real people as the AEW Women's Champion. It was nice. It was nice to see, and I wonder what they're going to do with Sheeta next. I hope they don't just leave her at it. Like, we haven't seen Ty Conti on Dynamite since she lost. You know what I mean? So I think with the women, they just need to have more than one match on Dynamite every week, so you get to build up new talent. I understand there's Dark Elevation and now Rampage and stuff like that. Maybe that'll be helpful in the third hour. Sounds like it's coming soon too. But I just think you got to give the women more than one match on the show so you can see. I want to see a feud outside of the title picture again. Like, oh my gosh, that worked with Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. Why wouldn't you not go back to the well with that again? Just hatred. If they're fighting over a man, I don't care at this point. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Just do something.
Bring me the bunny again. The bunny was great.
Yeah, whatever happened to her?
But yeah, she was great. So, but I like the end of this match. You just reminded me, WWE missing the ball on her. Fun fact, you know who, she had a match with Nia Jax, I think it was. And it was like, she was her one live match on television. She was like the squash talent. I don't know what even name she went by. And I think she actually got injured in the match.
Get out.
I could be totally wrong about that, but I remember hearing that somewhere. I think it's so funny. And now, meanwhile, right, like, she's been the face of the division for how long? Poor Hikaru Shida. I mean, she doesn't speak English fluently. That definitely plays a part in it, too. Kind of hard to be the face of a division of an American company if you don't speak the language fluently and they don't give you, someone like, what's his name? What's Penta's,
Alex?
Yes, Alex something. Marquez? It's not Marvin, Alex...
Or not,
It's something, it ends in like a Z, I think.
Alex, I'm not looking it up.
Good, but yeah, do that for me, Wally. But yeah, something like that, to have him, it's a fun last name, too. It's Noah Gogo, but it's a fun last name. But to have someone like him for Hikaru Shida, I think would have helped a lot. I think we should normalize having translator for wrestlers that are out of America, obviously. Did you find it?
Alex Abrahantes.
Abrahantes, okay, yes. Like, having Alex Abrahantes for someone like Hikaru Shida, I think would be helpful. I honestly, let's see a heel run by Hikaru Shida.
Yeah,
I think losing a title is always great. You don't want to do that every single time, but, like, give her a translator or someone as fired. I don't think you can ever find it's like a second Alex Abrahantes. I think he's the best. But, someone to light, it's hard to emotionally invest in someone who can't really cut a great promo because they don't speak the language. Though I did you see in the beginning in the promo she said, DMD, what did she call her? Something like,
dirty, moron, dumb, and
yes,
you know what?
ASS.
Yes.
Funny. I thought that was funny. But so,
yes.
I think she could benefit from that too, because I want to see just more confidence out of Hikaru Shida. She is a badass. We know we just spell it out, but I just said it anyways. But she's a badass, and I think she deserves, more credit than she got. And you find some people come out of a title reign and actually end up on the better side of it. So maybe that's what happens. I don't have faith in AEW or the women's division at all, but I'm excited to see with you, like you said, what they do with Britt Baker, just because she's been the face of the division for how long now, and now she's, I guess, the official face of the division. Where do they go? What do you think? I think you just have people like Ty Conti, obviously not her right now because she just got her shot. Your Red Velvets, your Chris Statlanders, and I can't even think of other names off the top of my head. What's the one with the Varsity Blondes that she just beat?
Oh my gosh.
We know who we're talking about. Yes, just exactly. That's my point exactly. Take those names and elevate them,
Yeah, and oh my gosh, I'm blanking. But yeah, that's going to bother me so much. But no, exactly. I feel like they should. I feel like she should come out this week, have a strong promo, just set her goals, stay whatever she wants to stay, because I think she's really I feel like she's onto something with this whole era thing. Maybe again, I'm reading too much into it, but I think that she really has a chance here to be a star, and I think they could really utilize more time with her, and I think that she could help build I think she could build the Ty Contis up more, and Anna Jay, when Anna Jay comes back, I feel like they could have a really good feud as well, because I think Anna Jay was really starting to get good right before she got injured, so I feel like we're a few more months away from that still, but I think that's just something that you can look forward to. So I think she could go on for the next year, be the next Cheetah, and just really just help establish that division. And it's not going to be a squash or anything like that. When Ronda Rousey was the champion and she's just kind of just blowing through everyone, I feel like she would really have quality matches with them and just really bring it out. And I hope they don't go right to a Thunder Rosa or a Nyla Rose, which I don't know where Nyla Rose has really been, but I guess that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think they should just draw this out as long as they can. And why not? they'll know, especially since they're going back on the road and they'll have like actual fans there. They'll know like once she starts to lose her steam and when they need to pull the trigger and to change things up. So why not write it out as long as you can? Like that's the thing with WWE. Like they either don't strike when the iron's hot, or they do and they just run it into the ground. They never find the happy medium. But I think with AEW, I give them more credit and I have more faith in them to kind of handle this properly.
I hope so. I think at least 365 days at the very minimum. But I think we talk about the women's division on this podcast more than AEW gives them time on the show. So fingers crossed.
And I think, really quick before we move on, I think she could be like their CM Punk. Like I feel like she can go on and just be like. And I don't know your feelings on CM Punk. I
love CM Punk. I'm looking at a picture of CM Punk actually on my wall right now.
That's amazing. I was a huge and still a fan of his.
Men, yeah.
Yes. And so I feel like she could be him in AEW. So like with his long title reign, just everything's, and just like even when he wasn't, like just being the face, like after that, like I just remember when he was in the Royal Rumble, just being so entertaining, like just thinking to go so many different ways with her. But yeah, that's just me.
No,
and I feel like she's rare.
She could go heel, babyface, heel, all in one run, I think. All in one title run. So I was thinking next for Hikaru Shida. What do you think? And this is a wild card, right? Jade Cargill.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be someone who could actually, again, Jade Cargill's obviously new, fresh, and I think Hikaru Shida could just be someone who elevates she'll obviously be wrestling the women on Dark and stuff, but even on, similar to your Serena Deebs, she's got such a ring and I told you, Britt Baker talks about her like that too. She's just such a good teacher, especially in the ring, just during a match. I think she could elevate all this talent just as much as, even more so than Britt Baker of just experience-wise. I'd like to see her against Jade Cargill. I think that would be you keep Hikaru Shida as a great babyface. We all have so much appreciation for her. That would help Jade Cargill as a heel, and then also give Jade Cargill the reps with someone who's so talented like Hikaru Shida.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. That'd be good. But again, I don't know, they're going in a weird direction with Jade too. Like they're focusing with her having like her whole manager and everything now. So I don't really know what they're gonna do with her. And do you think they would do like heel versus heel so soon?
No, not Britt Baker. I don't know. Maybe they keep Hikaru Shida a face.
Oh, you mean Shida and
Jade Cargill. No, Jade Cargill needs to stay away from the title picture for as long as possible. That's why I think Jade Cargill needs to get in some kind of good enough feud, like we said, like a feud outside of the title picture, and lose. Because with this ranking system, she's coming up real quick. You know what I mean? I don't think you don't want a Britt Baker versus Jade Cargill yet until you turn, obviously, one of them, probably Britt Baker, would make more sense. So I think, you want to keep your classic. I think a babyface versus a babyface is fine for title matches. I'm not a heel versus heel fan. Who am I supposed to invest in? Yeah, you're turning someone babyface somehow, I know Lance Archer's supposed to be a babyface, but to me that was like a heel versus heel match.
It could have meant so much more had they not just a couple of weeks ago, like you said, he was coming out and confronting Sting, and then all of a sudden it just stopped and he was facing Miro. So it's just those little things. Because with AEW, not to go off on a tangent, but they have their pay-per-views are spaced out, right? So we focus more on the week-to-week shows, and we try to remember more things about it, because that's kind of what we have for the next 4-ish months or something. So we put a little bit more stock into what we see on the TV and remember maybe more than we should. But yeah, I don't know. And I guess maybe it's not that big of a deal, but it's just, I felt like that match could have meant more maybe if he was a stronger babyface going into it. And maybe that was the thing. I
think that's the thing that was missing. I'm with you. I think it was just the fact that I wasn't rooting for him. I wasn't invested is probably that's what it was. I was just lack of emotional investment, I think. And yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that's why I talk so much about the women's division on here too. I think AEW rewards the fans that pay attention to the details. Kenny Omega himself just rewards fans who pay attention to details. Yeah. And I think it's so special. And so I just like to see more. It almost feels like, I hate to say it like this, but and again, I know we're going on a tangent on the women's division, but what else would we be doing? But it almost feels like they booked the whole card, like the men's card, and they're like, oh, we got to talk about what are we doing for the women's division? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I just would love to see, look how over that we're still talking about the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker unsanctioned match. It had nothing to do with the title. Hikaru Shida was an afterthought.
And Thunder
Imagine
Rosa
having
hasn't even really done anything since then.
no,
On
exactly.
Dynamite, at least.
That one little squash match that I couldn't have cared less about. Yeah.
Right.
And so I think imagine having an over champion and then like another over feud going on over here on the left side. Have another obviously there's never going to be another Britt Baker, but I love that CM Punk comparison. I think that's so on point. I think she's got the mic skills for it too.
Yeah.
So crazy.
And just the attitude and everything. It's
Yeah.
just, I don't know, I just see it.
And if she wants to be a heel and get cheered still, I think it works. You know what I mean? Like, if the people, like, I think if she, especially if she walks out to an audience of mostly, like, straight men, too, how are you not going to cheer someone that looks like Britt Baker?
Right,
So,
come on.
whatever. But I think it works. Her arrogance, cockiness, it works. I mean, let's start, like, the baby faces on AEW don't always do your typical baby face things. You know what I mean?
Nope.
So, and when they do, they come off like Cody Rhodes. So.
Yeah. And did you see her hug Tony before?
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about that. I didn't love that. I know not to pick on something such a small detail. I think that could have been saved for the back. And if you want to put that on your Chris Jericho podcast or YouTube show or whatever, like, fine. But, like, I didn't need to see that on TV. I don't know about you.
Yeah, on this one, I'm like 50-50 on, like, honestly, at first when he was standing there, I thought he was going to interview her. So I was expecting like a promo. And then when he just went to
of course
hug her,
not. No, they don't have time for that, ever.
well, yeah, right. Silly me. But so obviously when they hugged, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. But then I was still waiting for it. And then once I
Like for her to
realized,
punch
like,
him or something, right?
or just something. Yeah. Because, I mean, of course we know that they get along, right? But it was always like she was taking advantage of him, or she was still like being like a jerk to him. But I don't know, like, it was very, like you said, maybe it could have, been held for backstage or something. And do you think that was planned? Do you think that was just like a spur of the moment thing? Or, because it's just kind of random, because she's not a baby face. Like, and it's just kind of, I don't know, because everyone loves Tony. Like, I love Tony. That's why I'm 50-50 on it. It's just so out of place, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a really weird reference, but John Cena Edge ladder match, and it was in Canada. I don't remember where in Canada, but it was in Canada. And it was a TLC match or something, and John Cena won. And after the match, Edge, was a heel, obviously, in that match, but of course they're in, Canada, and it's Edge, and
was it the Unforgiven pay-per-view?
I think so, and it's John
2006?
Cena. Yeah, it was about the point where people are booing John Cena pretty much all the time now, and so, Edge's ideal role, and he had said too on one of those Untolds, was essentially like, I wanted to get booed out of the building in my hometown. Mm-hmm. But then, of course you fall into it because everybody's cheering for you. And so at the end of the match, he kind of like is walking off and he looks off at the crowd and gives them like the thank you and the waves and all that stuff. And he's like, and he's talking back about it now. And he's like, I wish I didn't do that. I wish I just really stuck to just being the heel, the awful human being heel. And I wish although she got cheered the whole match, if she's going to stick with this whole heel thing, I wish she stuck with it. So whether it was planned or not, I think it was just Tony Schiavone being Tony Schiavone. And, being proud and stuff like that. And I think getting caught up in the moment. But I think, I don't know, it just gave me like weird Triple H bring the flowers out vibes. You know what I mean? It just didn't.
What do you mean? Like it's like the second they get backstage, he takes a photo and posts it on like Twitter and Instagram. Like the second they're a champion and wins a match, which it's cool because like he has done it, a lot for them. But it's like, bro, they just won. Like, hold on.
And
Give
not
them a
to
second.
mention too, like, let her have her moment. Let her be Britt Baker DMD, not Britt Baker the person.
Yeah, and I know we got to move on, but I think the other thing that once I realized again, like that was it. There was no promo because that was just that's what I was expecting. So, but I realized because later on that I heard from somewhere or I read or saw something on Twitter that her family was there. So it's like she didn't even hug her family first. The first person she hugged was Tony, which is cool. Like I'm sure, like I know they probably have like a super close relationship, but it's just like. He's the first one you hug, and like you're a heel, like unless Friday, like she comes out and she's just like the pure baby face. Then
yeah, I'll take it all back.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but it was just I don't know, like I didn't hate it. I think I'm more okay with it than maybe you are, but it was just so random.
Yeah, no, I was not a fan. I know, like you said, we have to move on. I thought just. Yeah, I didn't even know about the family thing. I just think, like, again, she didn't go hug her family because she was standing character for that. I think he took it upon himself is what I think happened. Which is again fine, and I get it, and being emotional and being happy for someone, but I just think like, there's a certain I'm for kayfabe and keeping the fourth wall up there. Like I just really appreciate that. And when they brought it to, I just don't. Again, it's something simple that can happen backstage. So I would have loved to see that. Like, you can wait, I understand being proud, and we're all proud. We're all proud of, you know what I mean? We've all been on the journey with Britt Baker and are super proud of her. But, like, like, she talks a lot about Kenny Omega and how big of a impact he's had on her career and how helpful he's been for her. Kenny Omega didn't come out and give her a hug. You know what I mean?
Right.
So whatever. But again, we do have to move on. But I love that we can spend so much time talking about the women's division on here again because, like I said, I think they deserve way more.
Someone needs to, yeah.
Exactly. And she better cut a promo on Dynamite, and it better be live and not backstage, unless it's with JR again and she gets him to do the DMD thing. That was really cute. Or was it JR? Or maybe it was Tony Schiavone. I just thought. I think it was.
It was. She's just perfect.
Exactly. She's that is the conclusion to all of this. She's perfect. And congratulations, obviously, Brooke. It's been awesome to watch her journey and see how much she's grown in the past year. Thank God, like, that injury was the best thing that ever happened to her. I hate saying that, but it's so true.
Truly was.
So, Sting and Darby Allin versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky was up next. I told you I actually had to go watch this back because I only had a certain amount of time and I wanted to watch the matches I actually wanted to watch. And you know what? I was wrong because this match was awesome. Let me say, before we get into this whole thing, Ethan Page has something about, like, future champion if they allow him to be. I think Scorpio Sky just didn't, whatever it is, how they talk about some of the wrestlers just have it? Ethan Page has it. The eyes, the look, everything. I don't know how you feel, maybe, but I just thought he better promos, he just, like, he's outshining Scorpio Sky, in my opinion, which is crazy. And not even in the ring. I'm not even, that shows how much that stuff is just, gravy on all of it. But, like, just the promos he cut leading up to this feud, and we all knew what this was. It was a cute little feud to lead up to something cute. Well, Darby Allin got thrown down the stairs, but it was cute to lead up to, like, a nice babyface victory, to have a happy moment at a pay-per-view with a live crowd. But this match was insane. I texted you too. I said Sting took a suplex on the stage and then got right back up, did a diving crossbody to both Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, and then, looked incredible throughout the match. Darby Allin got flown from the ring into his brothers in the crowd.
Unreal.
And I was like, this man isn't human. He must, like, shut something off in his brain. To, like, or that disease that some people have, that, like, they can't feel pain.
They can't feel. That's him. He has it.
He must have, because otherwise needs psycho help, because, like, insane some of the stuff he did. And, like, I'm not the biggest Darby Allin fan. I don't know if it's the way he's been presented. I don't need the artsy things every time. It just doesn't. It still feels so forced to me. And maybe I'm just, like, maybe I've made my mind up and I'm being what's the word I'm looking for? Obstinate. Like, I would like to be, a little more open-minded, but I can't deny that the guy is just like nothing else. He gets a lot of comparisons to Jeff Hardy, I think. No. This man is inhuman. But so, before, I'll throw it over to you now, but obviously, we had the nice victory of Sting, who looked 60 in body form, you know what I mean? But the way he wrestled did not look 60-something years old. But obviously Sting gets the win while Sky tries to go for the springboard cutter, and Sting's able to get the Scorpion Death Drop on him and get the 1, 2, 3, and Sting got the pin. Weird. I'm not even saying that with, like, my normal sarcasm Sting tone. I just think it was funny. I didn't expect that. So what did you think about the match?
Yeah, no, I agree with you as well. I was kind of 50-50 on who was going to win.
Really? Okay.
Part of me, I was on the camp that maybe they would have Ethan Page and Scorpio win just because they're a new tag team. They're, up and comers, and maybe just to give them something to brag about. Because in my eyes, Sting didn't need it, and neither did Darby Allin. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't really surprised either way. But I guess I was surprised with Sting getting the pin itself, though. I didn't expect. I thought that Ethan Page was going to come in and bring up the fall before they got to 1, 2, 3. So I was surprised in that aspect, but. It was just I was blown away by Sting. Like, it was unreal. Like, he didn't miss a step with anything that he did, and that crossbody that he did, it was perfect. He hit it perfectly, got right back up, and he was never, like, panting or, like, just like completely out of breath or anything like that. Like, he looked great, you know, and yeah, like you said, he did look a little older in some aspects, but like, man, first of all, it's amazing face paint, man. Like face paint does wonders.
Hmm.
Like it's just it's amazing. But yeah, he kudos to him. Like he did just crazy stuff and stuff that he didn't even need to do, to be honest with you. And especially in this type of match, again, I was still surprised that we even got this type of match because again, I before this build and before we knew this is where they were going, I kind of expected Sting's first actual match back in front of people to be something a little bit bigger. And I guess we still have the singles match, so that, you know, I'm sure will be a big match. But I don't know, I expected something maybe a little bit more. But this was a great match, and I was really impressed with it. And yeah, that throw that Ethan Page did to Darby Allin, that was just amazing. And I don't know if you saw it, but he smacked his leg on the railing as he was
Yes, I
like
did see
being
that.
thrown over. Oh my gosh, it just made me cringe. Like this guy, like, and like, I mean, not to condone anything, but like he's like drug free and alcohol free. So, you know, because that's like, you know, I hate to say it, but that's what a lot of them used to lean on, especially back in the day. And like
Hmm.
he's pure. Like he
Oh, I didn't
just
know he was
takes it.
straight edge. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So he just takes it, and it's insane. So kudos to him, and again, because like he doesn't need to do nearly like even a fifth of all the crazy things that he does, especially just in tag matches. So we got a great match out of this, and I definitely wasn't expecting everything that we got,
Yeah, I thought this was gonna
and
be
maybe
something
unfairly, yeah.
like because they did the same thing with the Christian Cage thing. They played on the thoughts. Like I don't know about you, but as like just a fan of wrestling for a while, you kind of expect okay, the old man, what they're gonna do is take him out in the beginning of the match and have him like pull the Dominic Mysterio, you know, and come out later on. And then like make the save, you know what I mean? So he doesn't have to wrestle most of the match, and
Right,
basically,
right.
you know, accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. He had no negatives. 60-year-old Sting had no negatives, at least, or at least they didn't make it seem like it. I mean, the guy wrestled a good amount of the match, and like this was a perfect length for me and exciting, and I was into it. For them to get me into this match, I think was a victory. So I can't imagine what other people who are actually really into both Sting and Darby Allin felt about this. And like I said, I think Ethan Page is the biggest star coming out of this for me. I didn't think about what you said though. I guess I immediately went towards, of course, they're going to have the nice babyface victory, so I didn't even give, you know, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky like a shot in my brain. But I guess it makes sense they probably could have won too, because you know, they at least they get the rub, you know. But I don't think this was Sting burying talent, you know.
No, no, yeah, I don't either.
I think Ethan Page especially came out of this looking great. I don't know how old Scorpio Sky is. I'm curious, but I think obviously, at least for me, Ethan Page came out of this having like a major future in AEW. I hope they do something with him. I hope this tag team's over, personally. Or if it continues, you know, I hope they get a little bit more of a shine. I know now they're 8-1, so who knows? But you can't really have them go against the Young Bucks, so or maybe you do.
Yeah,
I don't
it
know.
looks like Scorpio Sky is 38 years old.
Oh, thank you for doing. Would you look up Ethan Page for me too? I love that. No, I mean, so he's, you know, he's still got a couple years left, obviously. I mean, unless he's Sting and he's going to wrestle for another
Oh, wow.
22 years.
Yeah, and Ethan Page is 31.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I would hope that Ethan Page would kind of be getting the rub out of this whole thing. I see at least future TNT title reign, you know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
He's got the face, the look, the eyes, the intensity, the promo, everything. You know, I don't. It's almost like he doesn't even need to be great in the ring to be so just captivating. I was captivated by Ethan Page, I have to say. So that's what I took out of the match, at least in a match where Sting was doing crossbodies and suplexes, no selling suplexes.
Right.
Crazy, man. Well, moving on then, I guess. Unless you have anything else to say about the match, just kudos to Sting, man. I stand
Yeah.
corrected,
No.
at least.
And I'm happy that you actually enjoyed it. I was curious to see what your reaction was gonna be. I really wanted to ask you, but I was like, no, I wouldn't hear it all because I was like, is she? I don't know if she's gonna enjoy it or not. But I'm happy that you enjoyed it.
No, he impressed me in any more than any match he's ever. I think they did AEW did such a good job with these guys, the older guys at least, of again accentuating the positives and hiding the negatives because it looked like there were no negatives. And like again, Sting showed up and showed out. Did he have? Am I correct? Did he have face paint like Darby Allin?
Who?
Sting.
Sting?
It
Oh
almost
yeah.
felt like his face paint was more Darby Allin-esque than Darby Allin's was Sting-esque. You know what I mean?
I think Darby Allin had the full face paint last night, whereas he normally does the half, like just the one side of it.
Yeah, it looked like Sting had more of like a skeleton look to it. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I just
Yeah,
thought
I
that
don't
was a
know.
nice.
I have to go back and check.
I think he clearly is making an effort to put Darby Allin over. You know, this is not the Sting show. You know, as much as he did some awesome stuff last night, it's weird how they managed to do that. So no, again, and he got the pinfall, and I'm not leaving here thinking, oh, it was all about Sting. You know.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, again, moving on then to the AEW World Championship match. Orange Cassidy versus Pac versus Kenny Omega. Again, Kenny Omega got the crucifix pin on Orange Cassidy for the victory, which I didn't think was a stupid roll-up. We're just so tarnished in our minds by some of these WWE finishes, I think. I always want to be like, oh, another roll-up finish, and then like, no, that's not how this company works. But I really love this match, but I'll throw it over to you first.
Yeah, no, I did as well, and I was surprised to see. First of all, Orange Cassidy start off serious. Like he didn't start off with his hands in his pockets. They actually like started the match. So that right from there, it was just like an eye catcher for me. But the whole match itself, like I just remember thinking like at the end of it, like man, like this was such a good triple threat match because a lot of times you'll see like one person will just be off for a while and like they'll just be gone and then all of a sudden they just show up, at the perfect time. But they just incorporated the moves and just the fluidity of the match. It was just so well done. Like everyone played their part and it just made sense. Like everything they did just had a purpose. And I was just because me personally, I'm not really a big fan of triple threat matches because again, like it's just kind of obvious, what it's there for, just so one person can take the pin, or for just it normally has an obvious reason. And I guess this kind of did too, but they again with the false finishes in this match, I think like no one really expected Orange Cassidy to win, right? But there were moments when we all just bought into it and we just wanted to believe that, man, maybe there's that slight percentage, maybe he does for some weird reason. But I just think they did so well. I don't really like the interference, and I would have changed some things in the match itself, but I think all in all it was a good main event and it was a good title match. But this is another one I'm curious to see what they do with Kenny going forward, because I don't really see a true direction with him unless they go back to Moxley. But Moxley's still kind of busy and he may, like we said, be gone, so I don't know where they really go from here with Kenny.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm on the opposite side. I love triple threat matches. I always say with my ADD, it works perfectly for me because there's always something going on. But I am also kind of one of those rare people. I think that like I can buy into almost any match that the other person who's not expected to win can win. Possibly, like I'm very. I don't know. I just allow myself for some reason to always believe that there's a chance. And to me, in this match, I knew there was no chance. But the crowd would tell you totally otherwise. You know what I mean? It was awesome to hear, Orange Cassidy getting so over. I almost felt bad for Pac. And then I was thinking to myself, no, I don't. Because this guy's incredible. You know what I mean? And it wasn't necessarily like this guy's, worse or better. It was just, obviously, Orange Cassidy's got the gimmick that's just kind of more exciting for people. And people it's more over. But I thought they all played their perfect role in this match. I love the hitting with the 4 different title belts. I kind of wish he did that to Orange Cassidy, but I thought that was really well done. I didn't mind the interference, oddly enough. I weirdly liked the finish. I was just all about this. I thought this was like... It didn't need to be this big thing, I think. It just needed to be a fun triple threat match because there was so much else going on this pay-per-view that I don't think I could have handled an exploding barbed wire death match. Or like a blood feud, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it was fun and good moves, and it was high spotty without being high spotty. Like you said, it was very fluid, and I love that too. I mean, like the Pac, the moves that Pac hits, I don't know, like, he is up there with...
It's just incredible.
He's like Sheamus to me, but he's like the high-flying version of Sheamus. He must be like a bitch to work with. You know what I mean? Just like super, because he looks so snug. So unless he's like a magician, which he might be, it looks brutal to work with the guy. Just because like some of the power bomb, obviously from the Dynamite the other week, like just some of the moves that he hits look so intense.
So snug.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word I'm looking for. Kenny Omega said it even in the promo. Like, I'm even scared of Pac. You know what I mean? And I am too.
Yeah.
I don't get the whole. I don't know. I'm not going to say his gimmick on this podcast, but we all know what it is. His nickname. I don't get it. Maybe I'm missing something. Is there, if there's a story behind the whole thing? It seems weird to call yourself that.
I think it's just because his attitude, just like the way he treats people. I think
Okay,
they're
so
just
he's
like,
not
that's
actually
just
going for the literal term of the word. Like my
No,
mom had me out of
no.
wedlock.
My interpretation is just that's just who he is. He has an attitude. He's just that person. I'm trying not to say the word, just that version of himself 24/7.
You know what it
So
is?
he's
I was an accident, so that's probably what I'm thinking of it like. It's just my own perception.
yeah,
But that's
no, I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but no, I think that's where they're going with that one.
yeah, no, but that makes more sense. Whatever. My whole point is, and you've heard me before on this podcast. To me, him and Ray Phoenix are like my favorite people to watch because he's just talk about a high flyer. I just don't know. Maybe besides Penta, who actually we didn't talk about in the battle royal. I was hoping Penta was going to win
Oh
because
yeah,
I would
and
have
the
loved to
response
see the
that he
match.
got, that pop was insane too.
And the crowd and the Zero Miet, like it was just, oh my gosh, I want to see Penta versus Kenny Omega is what I got out of the Casino Battle Royale. So hopefully they do that at some point. But the whole Death Triangle, they are my favorite. They're so fun to watch. And so any match with Pac I'm going to be into. But obviously, to me, like on this side, most people were probably on the Orange Cassidy side. I love Pac. I loved watching what Pac was doing. And then of course Kenny Omega. We can't understate those V triggers. Like the noise coming off.
Man.
I no thigh slapping maybe, but if you wouldn't have known. Like the commentary saying it sounded like bone on bone. It really did. Orange Cassidy took a beating.
Yes, and that was another thing I meant to say. He does such. I think he's underrated, or maybe I just have been completely missing it and not appreciating it myself. But he does such a great job at selling. Like
Yes.
the way he takes the moves and just I mean, I guess maybe saying this is kind of odd, but because he never really has an expression, but like the way he looks when he like gets beat up and like when he takes a hit and like it's just like you really feel for him and you really think that he's over there like just dying and in so much pain right now, and it's just he does such a great job. And I think last night was the first time I truly like recognized it and appreciated it. Just like he did such a great job, and I think it was at one point when he was just hanging on like the bottom ropes.
Oh my gosh, yes, yeah, exactly what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
I just
After the V
remember that.
trigger.
Yeah, I just remember that moment, just looking at him thinking like this dude has gone through hell right now, and he's just like props to him. So I kind of want to go back and rewatch that match while I still have it before my replay runs out, and just appreciate it again because yeah, like I think that was a standout moment for him too. Even though we like we said we knew he wasn't going to win, it was just the fans like they just believe in him, and it's just so crazy. It's kind of ironic, like a character like him is just so over.
Yeah, no, and again, I know he's not not my cup of tea, but I sound like an old lady, but like he is he's not like I'm not an Orange Cassidy person per se, like I'm not like it like most of the crowd sounded like they were, but if I was in the crowd I'd be cheering for him obviously. But I think he gets over with me too. So as someone who's not like a huge Orange Cassidy fan, I'm still a fan, if that makes any sense. And I'm with you.
Yeah, for sure.
I knew the selling thing, that the reason I saw, or I agree with the selling thing, and I really saw it is like when he got knocked out the week before, I didn't know the difference. I could not tell the difference when he got knocked out versus how he sells regularly. So that's how, I mean, I critiqued it on the show, like, because I didn't know at the time, obviously, but because he just sells, he looks like he's getting knocked out genuinely every single time. It's so, like you said,
And just the way his body just like I don't know,
limp.
it's just,
He goes limp, and the
limp,
way
exactly,
he's like
It's just-
expressionless expression is so good. It's almost like this is such a weird comparison, but I'm going to do it because it's on my mind. Like my dog, right? Obviously, dogs have face, like dog faces. They can't really make as much expression necessarily. Like my dog though has these eyebrows almost, and he's got such an expression on his face. You would think it's the weirdest thing to be like, your dog has such an expression on his face right now, but he like it's the same thing with Orange Cassidy. It's like he shouldn't have one, but you still see past the expressionlessness and see an expression at the same time. I don't know if that makes any sense, but if
No,
you
it
saw
totally
it, you get
does.
it.
It totally does. I have 2 dogs, so I totally get it.
You get it. Yeah, it's a weird, like, they shouldn't have an expression on their face, but you see through it.
Like, because obviously you can't talk to them, so you communicate that way. You just know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, And then moving on, I guess, to the real main event, which was the Stadium Stampede. Obviously, the Inner Circle took this after they came back into Daly's place, and the Spanish God, I love that name, Sammy Guevara hits the 630 senton, which is outrageous. 630, if you really think about it, you know what I mean?
Dude, it's insane.
He looks like he's on a trampoline, and I couldn't even do that on trampoline.
No, and he hits it perfectly. It's like, how? How do you do it?
I know, I was blown
I don't
away.
understand.
But so, before we get into the finish, obviously, I'll throw it to you first. What did you think of the whole thing, the cinematic aspect of it? Any favorite parts? Was it your thing? Was it not? You know what I mean? For me, I have my own, I guess, views on it, but I'll throw it to you first. Divisive.
What was that?
I said it was divisive nonetheless.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, right, but I didn't love it. So I think once I realized too that they were doing it live, I truly appreciated it even more because the way they played it, like the way they just threaded everything together, they did that really well, and how they went from, I guess, like each opponent, you know, or like each set between like Jericho and MJF to Sammy and Sean Spears. So that was pretty cool how they did that, and they had their little cameo moments and stuff like that. So I think overall they did a pretty good job, and it was overall entertaining, I guess. But the whole feud itself, I'm just kind of confused by it. I don't really know how to feel because I just feel like we're out of order, and I don't really know, like, you can't just leave it even now, right? Like, you have to go for that third match, I feel. So what could you possibly do after you've already had a blood and guts match and then now the Stadium Stampede? So I don't know. It's just I don't know how to feel right now. I don't know. I don't really know how to, like, I didn't hate it, right? And there were some moments and I don't know, I guess overall they did pretty well, but there was just, I just don't know how to feel about it. And I was happy that they ended up going and ending it in the ring, but even that, it just kind of like towards the end, it just felt like a regular match. And just the way they ended it, like you go through all that just to end it in the ring, like, I don't know, it was just kind of weird how they ended it as well. And I think last year it felt differently because there was obviously no people there, but this year just felt different, and I don't know if they should maybe keep doing it going forward now that fans are going to be back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was anticlimactic, I think, is the best way to put it. No, I'm with you. I thought some of the things were cute, and what's it called? The throwing the bottles, you know, FTR throwing the bottles, like that was absurd.
Yeah,
I
that
know,
was
obviously
perfect,
the sugar glass bottles, I assume.
Yeah.
You know, so we're not really throwing real, but it's still insane. I think my problem with it was what I liked about it, which is the weird thing to say. Like, it was cute and it was funny at certain points, and maybe not even funny, but it was like, it was quirky, you know, with the Jaguars coach in the back and the footballs and the, you know, the Cuidado sign, you know what I'm talking, the wet floor sign, and the and like the obviously all the stuff in the bar with the drinking and the DJ and there were cameos and whatever else. The Wardlow and Jake Hager and Sean Spears and Sammy Guevara stuff was just intense, but like, but it just felt unnecessary. I think it felt like coming off of Blood and Guts, it didn't work. It should have happened first, if anything, maybe, and I don't even think it was worth that. I think not being in a pandemic, just we're past this at this point. It just didn't fit the mood, I guess. It was nice to see the Inner Circle get the victory. I was kind of surprised, but the more when they first announced the match, I was like, oh, the Pinnacle's winning this. And then as weeks went by, I was like, oh, okay, never mind. Actually, the Inner Circle's winning this. So what I assume is there's going to be, you know, a double or nothing, which is ironic, right? Feud of they're going to do another match or something. And have, you know, whichever group loses has to break up or something along those lines. My thing is like, I wanted to see all those individual matchups, right? I wanted to see Wardlow Hager Part 2. I wanted to see Chris Jericho, MJF Part 2. I wanted to see Proud and Powerful versus FTR. And I wanted to see Sean Spears versus Sammy Guevara. And then I also, like, take all that, put them in a Yahtzee cup and mix it all together. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to see Sammy Guevara versus MJF and Sean Spears versus Chris Jericho and Wardlow versus, you know, Santana. Like, I would love to see all the different variations of the matches. To see it in a Stadium Stampede version just kind of seemed like a letdown. I don't know if though I loved MJF's gear. He
Yes.
looked like such an idiot.
He did. He did. It was perfect. Like he is such a you know what? Like and that's the thing too, like he can he really like makes this thing like he can do anything, right? He can make pretty much anything work, but like you said, like I don't even know if it was a matter of this being out of place or it just didn't feel necessary, right? And it just kind of felt I don't want to say I don't want to compare it to Hell in a Cell with WWE like the time of the year, and I guess we're wrong now because they ended up changing it on their calendar, but it just felt like they felt like they had to have it, right? And I don't know. And do you think that this can't be the end, right? They're gonna have a rematch coming out of this because like you said they just can't leave it 1-1. But like what do you can possibly do after this? You've already done Blood and Guts and then Stadium Stampede. Like I don't see what you can possibly do going forward. So I don't know. And I feel like this was maybe dictated as well since fans were back. And I think it was a really cool ending though. And the visual having them go off the air with everyone singing Jericho's song and everything. That was really cool. But it was a pretty cool atmosphere to be there live. But again, I wonder if this is one of those things that was maybe dictated since, they did have a full stadium back there as well.
Yeah, I think they go to a Punjabi prison match.
So yeah,
or
and the special guest referee, Great Khali, right?
Yes, exactly. Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Famer, Great Khali, putting some respect on his name.
Everyone else is coming over.
Exactly, or they have an exploding barbed wire death match, Blood and Guts Stadium Stampede feud match submission. I quit.
You may be onto something because they are leaving Daly's place, so you got to go out with a bang or a kaboom,
or fireworks essentially.
Anything fire related.
I don't know what the hell they do from here. Honestly, I really don't. But I don't think it's the end. I'm with you. I think this is a 2 out of 3 kind of thing. Maybe they do a 2 out of 3 falls. No, all I can say is I hope in the meanwhile we get some good variations of the I'm kind of getting sick of it. I hate to say it. I mean, I'm going to be the person. I feel like we're all like shying around saying that we're getting sick of this. Maybe I'm wrong, but like, I feel like we're all like, cause it should be so good, right? And the players in it are all so good. The booking of it is just, kind of not working. Something's not working. It's rushed. It feels forced. This whole thing felt forced, I guess is the best way to put it. And it felt unnatural and artificial.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with you. And I think that was why I was so sure at first that the Pinnacle was going to win. And it would be a great way to put MJF over. And that's just something else for him to brag about and just kind of go from there. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of what's holding me up with them winning. It's just like, okay, but like kind of now what? And I don't know, like, and they're both great. Like, if anyone can keep anything going, it's MJF and Jericho. So who knows? Like the best could still be yet to come, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, or if it even does. And because I think Jericho was going on. I heard Jericho was going on tour, but then I heard that his schedule, like he was able to plan it, so he's not going to really miss any TV time. So that may not even be a factor for him. But I don't really know where they go from here. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean. Yeah, I've got no fantasy. Like there's no fantasy booking in my head for this, and I think that's the sad part. Like here we are, we were talking about the women's division. I had all these different ideas of what they could do. I've got nothing. And Kenny Omega, I know, has 14 other plans. Whether it's Frankie Kazarian or wherever they're gonna go next, they got Jungle Boy. You know what I mean? I don't know. It
feels
where
like everyone's going after him.
Yes, exactly. So, well, before we go off, I'll ask you just a couple things. One, I think you mentioned before, but just after we've gone through it, still, what favorite match of the night?
Yeah, so my favorite match, I'm gonna stick with the tag match, the Young Bucks versus Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. But my favorite moment would be, of course, Britt Baker winning the title. But match-wise, definitely the tag.
Yeah,
what about you?
I'm with you. That would be my favorite moment too, and then I'm sticking with my favorite match was the opening match of Hangman Page and Brian Cage, I think. And then I'll ask you least favorite match of the night.
Oh, I hate to say it, but Cody versus Ogogo, and I hate it because I love Cody, but this was just it was just a miss for me.
No, I think I'm with you too. I think Stadium Stampede was his own thing, but it was fairly entertaining at the very least. So yeah, I'm with you. I think Cody versus Ogogo, all in all, was kind of the worst booking in my opinion. And then last thing I'll say, coming up Dynamite obviously this Friday, I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask you anyways. What is the thing you're most looking forward to, what they're following up on, or what's next? You know what I mean? What's the thing you're most looking forward to seeing what's next for?
Oh yeah, you know it's Britt Baker. And like I said, I'm gonna be really upset if they don't open the show with her, but you know it is what it is. So I unlike you, I expect her to be out there live. Like I feel like especially if they're gonna be in front of people, like she has to be out there. So I expect her to be out there live and just I really want to see what direction they're going to go with her. You know, if the reaction that she got there is going to force them to maybe change and maybe lean more towards babyface or stick with the heel. So I think that's what I'm kind of looking forward to as well with her most, just to see like where she really goes and just, you know, because that'll determine who she can face at that point as well. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to most with that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you too. I mean, I want to say the Britt Baker thing, but at the same time, I guess again, as much as faith as I have in AEW, I just feel like I'm fastly losing faith in their investment in the women's division. So I think I'm most excited next to see where Paige goes, Hangman Page. I want to see what they do next. Obviously, you know, I've always loved his little things with the Dark Order, so it was sad not to see. I know we saw him in the Casino Battle Royale, but like more Dark Order. I wanted to see John Silver. I love John Silver. So like him making an appearance. I know he was injured, but I was hoping he'd be back from injury. Maybe he'd even be the Joker. And then weirdly enough, I'm excited to see if Leo Rush is going to be on Dynamite. Yeah. I don't know if you heard anything about. I think you didn't say, but if you heard anything about if he's officially signed to AEW, like a Matt Sydal or Matt Sydal. Always mix those two up, or if it's just a one-off thing.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I know like they said, I'm pretty sure they mentioned it on air that he had been wrestling with Japan recently. So I honestly don't know if he's officially signed with them or not, but it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with him because he didn't come in with anyone. So unlike a lot of people, he's not with a tag team or with a faction or anything. He's just solo. So where would he really go from there? I think it'd be really cool to see him versus Miro just to see what Miro could do to him. Not for nothing.
No, I'm with you. That's the sick part of my brain that would love to see that too. Oh, but my last thing for you, because we spent so much time in the women's division, totally off the cuff, but I just because I don't want to end it on a sad note of talking about Stadium Stampede and not kind of being, you know, loving it. Dream booking. If you were to book any WWE women, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, or any other company as well, I don't know how versed you are with all these other indie companies, and versus Britt Baker, who's your dream match? It could be an AEW too, I guess.
If we're going right now, I would say Bailey.
So funny. Did you see their interactions too? Or not interactions, but Bailey had actually said that her dream match would be against Britt Baker.
Really?
Or she wanted to wrestle her, essentially. I think she said something on that about Twitter. Maybe it was a podcast. I don't know what it was, but I did remember hearing that.
That makes me so happy. I've always been a fan of Bailey, especially since she went heel. I think this past year, like this isn't obviously a WWE podcast, but I think this past year, like she's really been one of the MVPs, especially on SmackDown. But she's just amazing, and I would just love to hear, like, I would love to see like the build. I think if nothing else, like just to the match and just to hear what they would say to each other. So I think that's why I would go with Bailey, just for the build, if nothing else. And then and Bailey doesn't get the credit she deserves either. I don't think in the ring she carries a lot of the matches, or you can just tell like she's the ring general in the majority of her matches. So I don't think, especially like when people compare like the four horsewomen, that she gets the respect she deserves there. But I think just for the story purposes alone, I would go Bailey. What about you?
I had my answer, and I don't know why, as you were talking, like 5 other people popped in my head. You said 4 horsewomen, and I was like, oh my god, Becky Lynch versus Britt Baker. Like the man versus, not like the ending of the man that we got, but like the man in his prime versus Britt Baker. I know it's really hard to see right now, but Rhea Ripley versus Britt Baker. Because Rhea Ripley just sucks right now on the main roster, or I'm talking NXT Rhea Ripley, Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler and Britt Baker, oh my god.
Yes.
But the Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler that, you know, won the Wednesday Night War rating that one time, like those, you know, that version of them. Mm-hmm. But I think the number one answer, and I'm sure everybody could probably guess this if they listen to any of my is Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair versus Britt Baker. The arrogance in the ring would just be too much for the stadium. They'd have to open that, you know, like tube that they walk out more so their head could fit through it.
Yes.
I would love that. I think that would be. I don't know who would. I don't even need a babyface and a heel. I just want to hear the mic back and forth. I want to hear Charlotte Flair unscripted too. But Oh, that would be amazing. Nope, as long as it's not a babyface Charlotte Flair, I'm there for it.
True.
We can
True.
dream. We can dream.
Right. That's a whole other show, though.
Well, Ashley, as always, this is our new record, I think, on time. I'm looking at my wrist like I have a watch. I haven't worn a watch since Vietnam. But yeah. Thank you, as always, for coming on. I love talking about this. I know it's been a minute since I've been able to put out a show, so I'm glad this is the comeback show. And I always love having you on.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I appreciate you sharing your time with me and letting me come on your show.
No,
it's always fun.
It's becoming our show at this point, but we'll definitely have you on as soon as possible too. I like having you on for these special things because I think it makes it works, I think, in my opinion. So next, it sounds like too they're gonna have TV specials, about 8 TV specials a year now with this new TBS deal.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that? So there will definitely be many more special shows to come on for, I assume. But you're always obviously welcome. Just you know where I am.
I do. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you. Sounds good. Have a good night.